Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is a legendary Pokemon trainer. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Raptor Fanfiction and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Story start. Let's see in a forest with no clue where I am, check. My body has been reduced to that of a 6-year-old, check. There are strange creatures everywhere I look, check. Finally, I am in a place with absolutely no chakra, check. I fucking hate you right now, dad. Naruto Uzumaki stated as he wandered around. Contrary to his youthful look, he was actually one day from turning 17, but when he was helping his father use the Hiraishin to rescue the whole army, the rip in space-time must have messed something up, since he had connected his chakra to everyone, he was the only one truly affected by it. At least by some miracle his clothes had shrunken with him, but on the downside the seal-keeping Kurama in him had returned to what it once was when he was 7. Talking to Kurama right now was nearly impossible, so he kept walking until he saw something awesome in the water flopping around. Orange fish, so badass. Hey there little guy. Naruto yelled as he ran up to the fish that gave him a curious look. It had never seen anyone so happy to see one of his kind before, let alone someone that age. Carp Magikarp. The Magikarp chanted as Naruto nodded his head at the oversized fish, even compared to other Magikarp he was considered large. Naruto looked around for what the Magikarp was telling him about and saw a little red and white ball. I will question why I understand you later and then whatever this thing is, but if you want me to throw it at you, I won't question it buddy. Now let's see here, Naruto said as he jumped back when the ball got bigger at his touch. Looking at it suspiciously, he picked it up and threw it at the downed fish and the ball opened and absorbed the Pokemon in a beam of red. It rolled around a few times before dinging and getting smaller as Naruto shrugged and placed the ball in his pocket. Continuing on his walk, he a river and got the ball out again and threw it. The fish appeared out of the ball and into the water with an eye smile on its face. Magikarp, Magikarp. The Magikarp said as it hopped up from the water and splashed Naruto in the face. He laughed a little before nodding to the Pokemon. So the nearest town is down this river now, what can you tell me about this place? Naruto asked the Pokemon and it went into a whole long talk about Pokemon and battling with Naruto. Also about how the ball he was caught in was called a Pokeball and was used to catch Pokemon and make them battle for sport. Naruto was amazed at how this world seemed to have never really had a major war, he could see himself making a life here. Carp Magikarp, Magikarp. Magikarp said and Naruto grinned and jumped into the water with the orange Pokemon and started patting her on the head. The Pokemon swam around him in joy and they had a small water fight before they started swimming down river. You know buddy, you and me are going to be great partners. Naruto said as they swam together downstream and the Magikarp gave him a grateful look since this was the first human she had met that did not wave Magikarps off as weak or useless. Hell, she was nearly at level 20 already and would be evolving soon. Just a few more months and she would be a baddest Gyarados one day. Everyone seemed to overlook that fact, yet this boy did not even know about Gyarados and still wanted her. What Magikarp would let this chance go to waste? She sure as hell was not losing out on a trainer that would take care of her. 9 years later. Naruto sat on a rock in the middle of a lake as his oldest partner circled around him joyfully and he jumped to avoid the Hidepump she sent at him and countered with a kick to her long body. This continued on until Naruto had broken a sweat and she was out of energy. Good job today Gyarados, tomorrow we are heading to Pallet town and getting us registered as an official team. Then we can start battling strong trainers instead of the ones that stumble across us and the weaker Pokemon around here. Hard to believe that we have been together for 9 years huh? Naruto asked as she gave him a lick that lifted him off the ground and an eye smile. Naruto wiped some drool off him and chuckled at his oversized Pokemon, once she had evolved her size as a Magikarp had made her even bigger as a Gyarados. Rao. Gyarados said and Naruto nodded and got down on the rock he had been using as his bed for the last 9 years, right in the middle of the lake with a pecha tree right in the middle of it. Knocking his hand against the tree a few pecha berries fell down and he tossed a few to Gyarados, who caught them eagerly while he munched the remaining few. Looking up into the tree he saw his other Pokemon munching on a middle of the day snack. Raichu. The lazy Raichu stated and Naruto shrugged and the trio all started to fall asleep. Raichu fell off of the branch and landed on Naruto's chest and got comfy again, while Gyarados curled around the rock and laid her head down next to Naruto. They were bored now that their training for the day was done, since for the last 9 years for Gyarados and 7 years for Raichu, they had done nothing but train. Hours passed they all woke up and Naruto used the 2 Pokeballs he had to store them safely as he made his way down river for the first time. He wanted his friends to be as powerful as possible before actually going down to the town. Random Pidgey would perch on his head for a few minutes before flying off, while Rattata would run a few circles around him playfully and run off into the tall grass. Naruto had long since become the boss of the forest with Gyarados and Raichu by his side. Nobody in these woods was dumb enough to attempt to attack him anymore. It only took a few hours for him to get to Pallet, and when he did he was surprised at how small the town was. When he was walking around and not paying any attention he walked straight into a woman and was knocked down. Naruto looked up and rubbed head in his embarrassed state and took the hand the woman offered to get up. "Sorry about that, this is my first time in Pallet town and I was taking in the sights. My name is Naruto Uzumaki by the way," Naruto offered and the woman smiled kindly with warm chocolate eyes. "Delia Ketchum. Nice to meet you Naruto. You should be careful though and you should stay with your parents. They must be worried sick about you," Delia said and Naruto chuckled loudly at the statement and shook his head. "I may not look it, but I am a traveler. I have never had any parents to look after me so I have been living in the wild. Actually I live only a few miles away from here, but I actually came here to get registered as a trainer and start a journey," Naruto said and sweat dropped when he saw her with tears in her eyes looking at him sadly, but he waved it off and was about to walk away before she put a firm hand on his shoulder. "Then let me make it up to you for anything I may have brought up with a nice home-cooked dinner," Delia said with the aura around her that made him slightly scared to say no to her. Naruto nodded fearfully and walked with her to a modest house with a small wooden fence around it and a garden. Once they got in the house Naruto saw a 10-year-old boy watching a Pokémon battle on the TV and not even paying attention. "This is my son Ash, he gets his first Pokémon tomorrow," Delia said and Ash took notice of the 16 going on 17-year-old standing next to his mom. "Hello, who are you?" Ash asked excitedly. "Naruto Uzumaki, I met your mother on the way to getting registered as a Pokémon trainer and she offered to let me eat here." "Nice to meet you Ash, and I hope that you get a good Pokémon tomorrow," Naruto said and Ash nodded with an excited expression on his face. "I totally hope that I get a Bulbasaur from Professor Oak. What about you, what Pokémon are you hoping to get?" Ash asked and Naruto laughed and pulled out 2 Pokeballs from his pocket. "None, since I already have 2 Pokémon I was going to leave the starters to the rookie trainers. Just being given a Pokémon would not feel right to me since I prefer to make friends with them or beat them in battle first," Naruto said with a grin and Delia had a surprised look on her face. "Cool. Can I see them?" Ash asked and Naruto shrugged and put Gyarados' Pokeball back in his pocket and pressed the button on Raichu's and dropped it on the floor. In a burst of light Raichu was standing at attention and looking around the room. Raichu. The Pokémon yelled at Naruto before Naruto picked him up and placed him on his shoulder. Raichu pouted and noticed Ash and his mother. Waving hello to the 2 humans he got settled onto Naruto's shoulder. "This is Raichu, he was my second Pokémon. My other is way too big to fit inside the house and she prefers to be kept a secret from people I am not battling. She is very destructive when she is battling. Raichu here is my second strongest Pokémon though," Naruto said and Raichu snorted, it was more like he was his second Pokémon period. That automatically made him the second strongest. Naruto took the Pokeball back from his pocket and put Raichu back inside it since Raichu actually liked being inside the sphere most of the time. After dinner was eaten Naruto stood up and thanked Delia for the delicious meal and made to leave when he felt someone grab his wrist. He looked around and saw her smiling at him. "Good luck on your journey and I am rooting for you," Delia said and Naruto smiled at her with a grin that warmed her heart. This was the first time a person believed in him on the first meeting and it felt nice. "Then when I enter my first league I will be sending you some tickets. Thanks for believing in me Delia. See you later," Naruto said as he ran off, leaving a smiling Delia behind. This was going to be an amazing journey. Getting registered had actually been much easier for Naruto than he thought it would be, since all he really had to do was give some information about him and his Pokémon to Oak and receive a Pokédex that would allow his extra Pokémon to be sent to Professor Oak. Other than that everything was simply asking to be registered. He was actually lucky that all ages but under 10 could register, since he was back to his 17-year-old body, he would be too old to get a starter anyway, he was glad he had his 2 faithful companions by his side. Right now though he was waiting in the lobby of the Viridian City Pokémon Center for the nurse to finish giving his Pokémon a checkup that all non-rookie trainers had to get once getting registered. He was frankly insulted they thought he was bad at raising them or needed help. His Gyarados was over 5 times larger than the average Gyarados for reason damn it. He knew how to raise a Pokémon since he had raised his Raichu from when he hatched as a Pichu. Naruto had to buy no clothes before even coming here though, so now he was wearing a red sleeveless shirt with an orange Pokeball symbol on the back. His pants were pitch black and on his head was an orange headband to replace his leaf headband but with no metal on it. He honestly looked a bit like a gangster the way he was dressed but his smile told everyone different. Mr. Uzumaki, your Pokemon's checkup have been finished and we would like to go over the results with you. Naruto heard a silky sweet voice say, and he saw the pink-haired Nurse Joy coming towards him with a chart and a plate with 2 Pokeballs on it. He smiled and took the Pokeballs and placed Gyarados on a magnetic necklace, while Raichu's went on the belt he was using now. Yes, are there any concerns I should know about? Naruto asked with a steady voice that did not show how worried he was. These two were like the children Naruto never had, and Gyarados was his best friend. Well, they aren't health concerns exactly, but your Gyarados is very large for her breed, and your Raichu produces 5 times the usual electric energy than the above average Raichu makes. I was wondering if you could explain this medical mystery. Nurse Joy asked and Naruto sighed in relief while nodding to her as they went back to her private office. Once there Naruto sat down with her in front of a desk as she took out a notepad. Well, Gyarados used to be a very large Magikarp when she was unevolved and she has always had a healthy diet of crushed pecha berries and apples. So I would explain that one is healthy diet and naturally being larger than her species usually is. Naruto started as the nurse nodded with an interested look. Now Raichu was a different story, when he was hatching as a Pichu had very low amounts of power. So for all of his life we have been training him into the ground and expanding his limits until he had become what he has today. This mostly consisted of shooting lightning at a thunderstorm and absorbing the lightning that came back. Naruto explained as Nurse Joy went wide eyes at the training method nobody had thought of before. That would actually explain how even in thunderstorms thunder had not been heard for 7 years now. That is all I needed for this, and thank you for Nurse Joy started before the door was slammed open, and a 14-year-old version of Nurse Joy wearing a jeans and a black shirt walked in with an uncharacteristic grin from a Joy. She had the same hairstyle as her mother, but she had a wild feel to her. Hey mom, guess who just caught her first Pokemon? The Joy asked, and Nurse Joy sighed at what her daughter was interrupting. She placed her hands on the side of her head and looked at the girl. I already told you this before, you are not going on a journey without someone to watch you. I could not even dream of what I would do if you got hurt, Rose, so please release the Pokemon you caught and go back to studying medicine. The nurse said and the younger Joy glared at her. No, do you know the trouble I went through to catch this Mankey? I am going on my journey and I am not going to become some lame nurse that looks just like every other nurse in the country. Rose said and Naruto could see the hurt in Nurse Joy's eyes when her daughter said that, but it was soon replaced by anger that burned with the same intensity of a Moltres. Young lady, you are going to release that poor Pokemon and you will be going to your room. Nurse Joy demanded before she remembered that there was another person in the room. I am so sorry for her behavior and you should not have to have seen any of that. She said with a bow while Rose Joy looked at Naruto but mostly focused on the 2 Pokeballs he had. With a sly grin she placed sorry look on her face and walked out of the room with a fake look of defeat. Don't worry about it, you were just doing what you thought was right as a parent. I can't say if you were right or wrong, but it was your choice to make. Though she does not look like the type to give up so easily. Naruto pointed out and she nodded at the fact he stated. Yes, she got that from her late father. I don't even get why she hates the idea of being a nurse and healing Pokemon. Nurse Joy said and Naruto thought about it for a second. She wanted to be unique and from what I heard all Joys become nurses. I guess she does not want to be just another Nurse Joy and wanted to try something most Joys don't do. Now, sorry to change the subject, but I really have to head out and get to Celadon City. Naruto said and Nurse Joy looked confused. How are you going to get there? There are no roads that go from here to there. Nurse Joy asked and Naruto pulled out a map and placed it on the table. Pointing to the city they were in he showed just how close the two were. Just because there is no road does not mean I cannot go from here to there. Between the two is actually uncharted territory, so I may even find some new Pokemon while I'm at it. Heck, if I tried hard enough I could get there as a day or 2 tops. Naruto thought while leaving out how he could go faster than a flying type and get there in maybe a few hours period. Well, be careful out there. I hear that there have been attacks in Celadon City from Team Rocket for a while now. Joy said before she blushed when she remembered just what 2 powerhouses Naruto carried with him. Most gym leaders did not even have a single Pokemon on par with his Raichu, and his Gyarados was Elite 4 level easily or maybe champion if she was pushing it. I think I'll be fine. Naruto said as he walked out of the Poke Center and went towards the Pokemart to gather some needed supplies for his Pokemon and himself, though he stopped halfway there when he felt a hand on his shoulder and saw the Joy from earlier grinning from ear to ear with her Pokeball out. I challenge you to a Pokemon battle and you lose you have to take me with you on your journey. She demanded as Naruto shrugged and pulled Raichu's Pokeball off his belt and made the orb larger. First tell me why. Naruto said simply and she snorted in amusement. Mom only takes strong trainers with powerful Pokemon into her office to talk about them. The fact you only have 2 Pokemon and she still took you in there means you must have some major firepower. If I beat you then it will show her I can handle myself on my own. Now Mankey, I choose you. She yelled as she tossed the Pokeball in the air, and a Mankey came out and glared at its trainer before turning to Naruto and pounding its fists together. Mankey. The monkey Pokemon stated, and Naruto sighed at the words the little guy was saying. Come on out, buddy. Naruto stated as he held the ball in front of him and manually opened it, and Raichu came out looking eager for a battle. Are you ready to load? Joy started before Naruto cut her off. Raichu Iron Tail. Naruto said simply, and his Pokemon's tail turned into shiny metal and he swung it at the slow monkey Pokemon. There was a heavy thud sound and the monkey was on the ground unconscious with swirled eyes while his Raichu looked down in disappointment. Raichu. Raichu yelled at Naruto from his spot and he sighed. Well, I haven't caught any other Pokemon yet, so just get used to fighting weak opponents until someone worth our time appears. She would be overkill to the extreme if I used her in battle, so you will have to do. Naruto explained and Raichu huffed but nodded. The young Joy looked at her defeated Mankey in shock and fell to her knees as tears fell from her eyes. Mom was right. I wasn't ready. She cried as she punched the ground over and over in anger as blood trailed down her knuckles onto the ground. Naruto rolled his eyes at her and decided to take pity on her. You never stood a chance in the first place, you have only had that Mankey for less than a day, well Raichu and I have trained and got along since he hatched. For 7 years we have been a team, well that Mankey has no respect for you. Being a trainer is not about just having fun, these Pokemon are our beloved family the second we capture them. They are not pets that we just play with and make battle, they are supposed to be friends till the end. Until you understand that you will never be a good trainer. Go back to your mother and beg for her forgiveness. Naruto said as he passed by the stunned girl, but he was hoping she caught the advice he was giving her. She looked at the ground in shocked amazement as he walked by her towards the Pokemart. Naruto suddenly jumped out of the way as a red car sped past him with a bunch of girls inside it and a 10-year-old boy driving. Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? If I ever see that brat I am going to rip him a new asshole and then shove his own shoes in it. Naruto said as he stared off at the car getting away that nearly hit him. He would have been perfectly fine, but what if he had been a person that could not survive a car hit? Whatever, not his problem right now anyway. So with that final thought he went towards the Pokemart when he realized something, he had no poke to buy anything with. Oh well, it looks like him and his Pokemon would be roughing it like they have been. It would not be a big deal to them. Naruto took out his map and started heading in the direction of the uncharted forest that would be a shortcut to Celadon City. He got to the end of the forest before he groaned at hearing his name being called again. Mr. Uzumaki. Sparky. Naruto heard as he saw an out-of-breath Nurse Joy and a grinning Rose next to her. He kept looking between the two and saw that Rose had a belt with 2 Pokeballs on it and a large backpack on her back. Okay, I give. What are the two of you doing following me? He asked and Rose grinned and pointed to her mom. Mom said that if you agreed to take me with you I could go on my own journey. Isn't that awesome, and now you can teach me all about battling Pokemon? She said to the older boy. Naruto had an eye twitch at how he had lost his chance to enjoy hopping from city to city by tree jumping, since there was no way for him to resist such a cute face and dad ass. Please take her with you. She could learn a thing or two if what she told me about your words were true. I would be eternally grateful if you did this for me. Nurse Joy said once she got her breath back. She had not had to run farther than from one side of the Poke Center to the other in a long time. Joys may look fit, but most were not exactly in shape. Okay, but I have 3 rules that will be followed. 1. Do not expect me to do any cooking if you want food. That is actually for your own safety since I can't really cook well for humans. I am only skills at making Pokemon food and have gotten used to eating it myself. 2. You better not expect me to spend any money on you, mostly because I am broke myself. 3. If I am ever having what looks like an awesome dream, do not wake me up. I will punch you regardless of gender. Naruto said and Rose nodded happily, since the only rule that wasn't just common sense was that dream thing. Nurse Joy smiled happily and gave him a box, and once he opened it he saw a bunch of Pokeballs. I noticed you did not have any more, so I got some for you. I figured the more Pokemon you had the better Rose would be protected. Nurse Joy said as Naruto attached all the balls to his belt. Once he came up with a total of 5 unused balls and 2 used, counting the one around his neck, so he could catch 5 more Pokemon. Then thank you, now let's go Joy. You and I are heading to Celadon City. Naruto said as he continued to walk off with the pink-haired girl slightly behind him. Grinning as she waved bye to her mother, and soon when they were out of sight Nurse Joy wiped a single tear from her cheeks and turned to head back to the Pokemon Center. The next day. We're lost, aren't? Joy asked, and Naruto pointed at her with both hands in an over-exaggerated show of annoyance. Hell no. I was just looking for a Pokemon that caught my interest is all. If we were lost I would have looked at the map by now. Naruto said as she sweat dropped at his words. Him not looking at the map was the reason they were lost in the first place. Naruto looked around and saw a tail sticking out of a bush and decided to see what it was. The dark red-orange color was really calling to him, and when he came up to the Pokemon he saw it was a Charmeleon. Bending down he looked at the male straight in the eye and the Pokemon spit a fireball at him, only for Naruto to tilt his head to the side and sucker punch the fire type in the gut. His blow sent the Pokemon on the ground in pain from the unexpected power behind the hit. Well, all Gyarado's trainers knew how to hit a Pokemon hard anyway. They had to get their Pokemon's attention somehow, or even learn to somewhat subdue them in case they start raging. Charmeleon Char. The Pokemon yelled at him in anger, yet Naruto just rolled his eyes. You attacked me first, so suck it up. Look on the bright side, I could have been aiming at your face. I am pretty sure that would have hurt much worse. Naruto said, and the Pokemon nodded with a glare, but Naruto glared right back at him. The thing about Pokemon with dragon-like qualities was that they were very arrogant and had to be shown who was boss. Naruto had to kick Gyarados around a few times when she first evolved to remind her who was the trainer. The glare between the two continued for about 10 minutes before the fire type looked away in defeat and pointed at one of the Pokeballs on Naruto's belt. Char, he said with a sigh, but Naruto just laughed. Ha! You think I would just let you join me like that? You need to be defeated in battle first to make this fair to you. Part of capturing a Pokemon is about actually battling it first. Otherwise it is like cheating. He said, and the fire-type Pokemon grinned wildly. He was starting to like this human even more already. Naruto pulled out his Pokédex and scanned the Charmeleon to get a basic of his stats and liked what he saw. He also noticed that this Charmeleon had a scar going down his left eye and already knew that this guy had some battle experience. Charmeleon, LV.26 male. Naruto was a bit annoyed that it did not tell what move he knew unless Naruto caught him, but he guessed that would take some of the fun out of it anyway. Pulling Gyarado's ball off the necklace he tossed it up in the air and in a popping noise she came out and landed on the ground and displayed her full size to the now excited Charmeleon. Hey Gyarados, this guy wants to join the team. What do you say? He yelled up to the giant Pokemon while she sent a look at the small in comparison fire Pokemon. The smaller Pokemon spat a stream of fire at her, but it barely even tickled her before her tails glowed and she swung at all the Charmeleon. He was too slow to dodge and ended up being hit by the attack head-on and knocked out. Naruto said he was going to battle the Charmeleon to make the capturing fair, not that it was battle itself would be fair. That was brutal. Joy said from behind the boy she was following to start her journey. The Gyarados turned and eyes to her and glared with burning rage at a human that was not her master touching her master. Hey, she was extremely protective of the one human that believed in her. Lots of Pokemon got this way and were slightly jealous of others being around their trainers. Yeah, but now he will always know that I am not to be messed with. Pokemon with dragon qualities need to be told who is the boss right away or they will not obey you when you tell them to do something. They have higher levels of battle lust and need to know that the only way to bring out their full potential is to trust the trainer. Charmeleon may not be a dragon type, but it shares the same attitude as them. Naruto explained and the Joy nodded somewhat understandingly. Pulling a Pokeball off his belt he tossed it and it did not even shake before locking. The Pokemon had put up no fight when getting caught. Naruto picked up the ball and looked at it with pride and he returned Gyarados to her ball after thanking her for the battle. Welcome to the team Charmeleon. He said with a smirk this time. Now he had a potentially strong fire type that would evolve into a fire flying type. All he needed was an actual dragon type, a grass type, and a random type and he would be set, but he would save that last Pokeball for if he ever had the chance to catch a legendary Pokemon. Unlike other trainer Naruto had no plans to go over the limits and had already shut off the feature in the Pokédex that automatically sent Pokemon back to Oak. If he caught a Pokemon he was going to raise them and nobody else would do that for him. A lot of trainers wanted to catch them all, but Naruto just wanted one team to defeat all the leagues without having to worry about his other Pokemon not with him. After today he was going to be very picky about what Pokemon he caught. Naruto stood in front of a huffing chameleon with a passive look before raising his hand again and lowering it to the ground. The chameleon shot a torrent of flames up into the sky and just did that for a few minutes before it stopped and collapsed to the ground in exhaustion. All Naruto had been having the fire type do for the last few days of non-stop training had been sparring with Raichu, getting his ass kicked by Gyarados and strengthening the length and the concentration of power in its fire attacks. It was not a very well-known fact, but the longer you could use a fire attack, the more powerful it would become overall. Charmeleon. He huffed out as he looked at his trainer in annoyance before he remembered the powerhouses he had and gained a determined look. If Naruto could make them powerful he would do wonders for him too. I am not sadistic, there are two ways to make a fire type evolve. One is by making them battle until they hit a certain limit they have to overcome. This makes them change in order to meet that limit, but it also weakens them. My way brings you to that limit at a lower level so that your overall potential is increased, you will be able to grow faster and stronger than other Charizards this way. Naruto explained and Joy looked at him in wonder. She had not been paying attention to it earlier, but Naruto seemed to actually understand what every Pokemon was saying. Charmeleon. The Pokemon said before Naruto nodded with a grin that desire to grow stronger was much more like it. How do you understand them? Joy finally asked and Naruto turned to her and placed a hand over his heart. I honestly have no clue since I have been able to do it since I first came here. When they talk I just get what they're saying. He said and she face planted. She had been expecting him to give her a lecture about connecting your heart to the hearts of Pokemon or something like that. His answer was not very satisfying to say the least. Naruto heard something coming through the bushes and quickly put Charmeleon back into his Pokeball just in time for a girl to fall out of the bush and have her face slam into the ground. She sat up and looked at the two of them with a blush. Do either of you know where I can find Little Root Town? She asked as Naruto actually took a moment to look her over. She had sea green hair pulled back into a ponytail and her eyes were chocolate brown while she wore an average blue t-shirt with a white skirt and black biker shorts underneath them. On her back was both a backpack and fanny pack that were both yellow in color. Joy looked at her chest though since the girl looked about 16 and had high B cups. You do realize that Little Root is in the Hone area and we are in the Kanto area right now, right? Joy asked and the girl blinked before she started to hit her own head a few times to clear some of the stray thoughts away. Damn it. I should have known that taking that turn was a bad idea and that lake I crossed was too big to be a lake. No wonder Melodic was so tired after we came here. I'm Asena Winters by the way. Asena introduced with a sigh and Naruto chuckled and already could tell she was the type that was bad at directions. Bro's Joy and this guy here is Naruto Uzumaki. If you want to get back to the Hone area then you should head to Sanabura Island and take the third ship that they have. It will take you straight to Little Root from there. Though in exchange for this information I want you to battle me. Joy stated and Asena grinned and took a Pokeball from her belt and tossed it up in the air and revealed a Marshtomp. Marshtomp. Naruto blinked and looked at the Pokemon with a questioning gaze since it had never personally seen that Pokemon before. He had seen a lot of water types from all his time in the lake and this was a new one to him. Joy was just grinning and pulled out Mankey's Pokeball. Naruto could already tell who the winner of this match was going to be, so he watched with a smile. I choose you Mankey. Joy shouted as Mankey appeared and ignored her. He could still remember the last humiliating defeat he suffered because of her and had no interest in listening to her at this moment. Marshtomp, use Hydro Pump and let's get going. Asena yelled with a confident look as the Mankey was hit dead center with the attack and sent straight at Joy. Both trainer and Pokemon were knocked out while Naruto laughed. Hey Asena, how about you and me battle now as well? Naruto asked as he placed Mankey in the Pokeball for the young Joy and moved her so that she was laying against a tree. The green-haired girl shook her head and recalled her Pokemon. Sorry, but I really do have to get going. If you're ever in Hone though call me up and I would be happy to battle you. She said happily and Naruto nodded and let her walk off. He had a feeling this was not going to be the last time he saw her anyway. Naruto then decided though that he might as well drag Joy to the Celadon City since they had just spent the last few days at the city's edge anyway. Honestly, they only stayed to give Charmeleon time to get used to Naruto before hitting the gym. Naruto looked in disgust at how there were so many buildings blocking nature. As a sage he loved nature in its natural state and it was the reason Naruto was fine with just his rock in the middle of the lake with the pecha tree on it. Naruto was receiving a lot of strange looks as he walked with the knocked out girl on his back, but he did not care so long as he got a good battle out the gym leader here. So getting inside the Poke Center he put her in a chair and walked right back out. He was supposed to watch her, not have her watch him every single battle he had. Anyway, she would more than likely want to use the shower here or go shopping. He followed his nose to the area in the city that smelled the most of Pokemon and saw an old man looking into a building. This gym is great. It's full of women, I mean strong trainers. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The old geezer said and Naruto blinked and grinned. Going next to the old man he looked into the gym and saw many girls in kimonos tending to flowers. He frowned in disappointment at the boring thing they were doing, but he had to admit the girls were stunningly beautiful. Even the girl in the yellow kimono was sleeping sitting up with the gloom next to her. Naruto stood back up and walked towards the entrance of the gym and was blocked by two girls holding Pokeballs on their belt and perfume bottles in their hands. How would you like to try our gym's signature perfume, sir? The brunette on the left asked and Naruto blinked before shrugging. It did not look like they would let him in otherwise so he would suck up his male pride and let them spray a little perfume on him. Sure, but don't expect me to buy anything. I came to battle the gym leader here. He stated with a voice lacking in amusement. The girl nodded and sprayed him in the face and Naruto blinked when he realized what the smell was. How do you like it, sir? The blonde on the right asked with a grin at the hidden test. If a man said it was horrible they would not let him into the gym. If he said he liked it, he would be allowed to battle Erica. Is this made from bloom nectar? I am surprised that someone has found a use for it. It is not bad, but I am not a perfume person, so who am I to judge beauty products? I mean, it isn't like I have any use for them. Naruto said in surprise. For the most part, normally when he found the stray gloom in his forest, he would lead them towards an area they would be happiest at. He usually also had them use their nectar to help the trees around the forest produce sweeter fruit. It may smell bad, but it had some useful properties. The girls though were stunned by his answer, since nobody had ever not hated it before. Thank you. You can come into the gym now if you like. I will go get Erica, so please be patient with us. The girl said, unsure as they all went into the gym and they walked to the actual area they would be battling in. Naruto saw some grass types wandering around and raised an eyebrow at how well behaved they were. Though most were giving him the stink eye. They must not be used to seeing challengers often. Taking Raichu's bowl off his belt he opened it and the electrocrat looked around and pouted at him. Raichu choo. His Raichu shouted in annoyance and Naruto sighed at him. Raichu, this is a gym filled with grass types and plants. Using Charmeleon for this might cause a fire and I don't think setting a gym on fire will be good for the gym leader here. Anyway, you always go on about how you want only the strongest of opponents. Gym leaders are supposed to be strong from what I hear and grass types are not very affected by electric attacks, meaning you will get to battle even harder. Naruto started and Raichu blinked a few times before sparks flew off of its cheek pouches in excitement. Nothing got the blood pumping more than a battle with a type disadvantage. Rai. Yeah buddy, we are so going to kick some grass today. Naruto agreed with the large rat Pokemon nodded at him. Naruto had no idea that the leader of the gym had been listening to his whole conversation and was touched that he was taking into account her gym when choosing his battling Pokemon. Be careful with your claims or you will have to learn to remove grass stains. The girl with the yellow kimono said and Naruto blushed very slightly. He had not really been around a lot of pretty girls in 9 years, so his tolerance had been shot to hell. Also, the fact nobody in this world had chakra made it hard to sense where people were if they were not feeling negative emotions. Then he smirked at her and Raichu jumped in front of him with spark flying and that reminded her why Naruto was here. I see then challenger, I will duel you with everything I have. Prepare for defeat. Bloom wildly Tangela. Raichu grinned and Naruto's blue eyes locked with Erika's gray as determination to not lose filled them both. The referee girl came forward with a green flag in one hand and a red in the other. This will be a 3-on-3 match and only the challenger may substitute Pokemon. Begin. She said and Erika showed her years of experience by making the first move while Naruto was still digesting the rules. Angela, use your vine whip and bring it in close. Then use your stun spore. The usually quiet leader yelled and Naruto blinked and smiled at the well-used move. She must use this for every trainer she battles. Grab it with your tail and yank that weed off the ground. Then use thunder. Naruto said calmly and Raichu frowned at the finishing move. The second the vines got in range Raichu's tail snaked around them and yanked the vine Pokemon towards him. Electricity sparked off of him as the charging process began. Then in the flashing of lightning the vine Pokemon was subjected to enough lightning to knock out a Machamp in seconds. It stood no chance against the fully evolved Pokemon and was knocked out as easily as the Mankey was the other day. It fell and when it hit the ground swirls replaced its eyes. Naruto sighed but nodded to Raichu for a job well done. Tangela is unable to battle. Round 1 goes to Raichu and Naruto. The referee said in shock while Erika returned the downed Pokemon to its ball and kissed the top of it while whispering sweet words. You have a powerful Raichu, but my next friend will take care of him. Show your stuff Weeping Bell. She yelled and tossed her next Pokeball onto the field. The referee raised the flags to show this match started. Acid. Erika said simply and Naruto waited for it to get a few feet away after the Pokemon shot green acid at Raichu. Raichu, use quick attack and follow up with Iron Tail. Raichu disappeared from view and reappeared behind Weeping Bell with its tail turned into iron and already in half swing. The attack hit the grass type and knocked it away and Naruto was surprised when it got back up. Weeping Bell used Tox. Erika started before Naruto interrupted her train of thought. Raichu, use Mega Punch and follow up with Mega Kick. Naruto stated lowly and Raichu was on the startled grass type in seconds with a powerful right hook and that was followed by a kick to the face. It went down soon after and Erika looked stunned at his skill and the Pokemon's power. Sure, she was not the most experienced or powerful of the gym leaders. Heck, she was on the lower side of the power scale, but this was crazy. Weeping Bell can no longer battle. The winner of round 2 is Raichu and Naruto. The referee said in awe and slight fury. Erika looked between her trusty Gloom and Naruto's Raichu and sighed in defeat. She already had 2 Pokémon that needed to go to the Poke Center. She did not want her best friend getting to hurt either. I forfeit the match. Erika said quietly and Raichu glared at her with annoyance at the weak move in his opinion. Winner by forfeit Naruto Uzumaki. The referee said in shock while Naruto had his eyebrow raised at her surrender. Her last Pokémon must be really special to her if she wanted to keep it from battling. He would not blame her though. She had no real chance of winning anyway against Raichu at her level, and Gyarados was in the same league as champion class Pokémon. Erika started walking to him with a case in her hand when he returned Raichu to his ball and looked at her blushing face. Is she sick or something? Naruto thought to himself as she got in front of him and got on one knee. Holding the case in front of her like a marriage proposal, she opened the case to reveal a rainbow badge that looked like a flowers colored like a rainbow. Though before he could take the badge he was kicked in the face by an angry Joy who had misunderstood what was going on. You bastard. Why the hell did you leave me at the Poké Center for and why is this pale bitch trying to marry you? The enraged girl asked while Erika looked irritated about the unneeded comment. She had a very healthy skin tone and was by no means a bitch. Naruto glared at her with a red foot mark on his face and pointed to the case to show the badge. Did I say bitch? I meant perfectly nice member of the league. Joy said, and Erika's scowl turned into a smile at the obvious crush the girl had. Not that she could blame her, with his blue eyes and blonde hair, he looked like a sunflower getting watered to her. It was actually a very attractive look. Sure you did, but I was just awarding this nice trainer his rewards for winning. Erika said as she bent down to the ground and gave Naruto a peck on the cheek while slipping something into his headband. Joy was suddenly angry again and grabbed Naruto by the back of his shirt and dragged him out of the gym with feminine rage-powered strength. Naruto did not even have time to collect the money he had gotten from winning the battle as she pulled him. I am going to have to call the other gym leaders and warn them about Naruto. Maybe I should let someone else run the gym for a while. I have some vacation week saved up anyways. The gym leader asked herself before she randomly fell asleep standing. Years of sniffing the different kinds of grass Pokémon scents had affected her in some ways. The fighting of Naruto and Joy could still be heard from there and one thing was for sure. Anto had gotten one more interesting trainer. I still don't understand why you had to hit me so hard. Naruto said as he rubbed her red cheek from the blow the angry Joy had given him. The girl in question just gave him the cold shoulder and turned away from him with a glare. Naruto sighed and walked up to the pissed off girl. Wrapping his arms around her waist, turned her around until their faces were inches apart. You have 2 seconds to let go off me before I hit you in the face again. Joy stated with her glare and Naruto wondered what was with him and traveling with violent pink-haired girls. First he was teammates with Sakura and now he was the trainer-instructor for the one nurse Joy that loved battle. Why are you so angry at me? Naruto asked and the girl looked at her oblivious friend with a look of disbelief. How could he not see she was jealous of the fact the pale grass slut had kissed him? Chomp. Naruto let go of her and jumped away as he held his nose and she grinned at him. I warned you. She said as they left the city limits and started heading towards Celadon City for the Cascade Badge next. Sure, they were passing through uncharted territory and as far as she knew this was where the most dangerous and wild Pokémon stayed. There was a reason that people made the roads through the safest areas. There was a reason his Charmeleon was so strong before he had caught it. Yeah. Naruto muttered as they walked through the trees and Naruto saw something funny about to happen. Sneaking up behind the young Joy was a small blue Pokémon with a brown shell and in its hands was a stick. He debated in his head if he should warn her or not. Yep, this was too funny to not see happen. The Squirtle crept up closer and closer while pulling back its arm. Poke. Beep. Joy let out an uncharacteristic girly squeal at the unwanted objecting poking her right in the butt. Naruto laughed harder since she had chosen to wear a skirt today and when she turned around and glared at him, he pointed at the small turtle-looking Pokémon. The turtle had long since joined in on the laughing and was soon beaten up by the enraged girl. Naruto looked down at the beaten turtle and chuckled. At least it was not him this time. If you ever speak a word of this to anyone I am going to rip your pants off the next time we are in a city and let you see how it feels to be embarrassed. Joy threatened as she tossed a Pokeball at the beaten Pokémon. Naruto just chuckled at the unusual way to catch a Pokémon and saw her scan it with her Pokédex. Squirtle female LV.27. Naruto and Joy both raised an eyebrow at the level and then remembered that not all Pokémon evolved when they had the chance. This was going to be a strong Squirtle when it was trained properly. Heck, it was already strong enough to beat an untrained Wartortle. 4 weeks later. Flamethrower. Hydro Pump. Naruto's Charmeleon and Joy's Squirtle did battle once more for the 100th time this month and as the two attacks met the Hydro Pump started to push the flames back from the type advantage. Charmeleon stopped using its attack and ducked under the water attack. Charmeleon, get in close and use Metal Claw. Naruto commanded, and the claws of the fire reptile turned shiny as he rained down a powerful blow to the shell of the turtle Pokemon. It did not let up as the turtle was knocked high up into the air by another blow. Finish this with Dragon Rage. Naruto commanded as blue fire gathered in its fanged mouth. Joy looked at this alarmed and decided to use her untested air maneuver. Squirt, use Withdraw and follow it up with Rapid Spin and Water Gun. Joy yelled as the tiny turtle withdrew into its shell and started spinning around at high speeds. Water started shooting out of the holes, and the incoming blue fireball was split in half in two directions when it came in contact with the disc of water that surrounded the Squirtle. Smart move, the density of the spinning water cut straight through the flame like that while staying in the air was genius. Even if your move did not cut the flame would have knocked the disc away to a safe distance. Naruto muttered as Squirtle landed back on the ground upright. Charmeleon growled at the little Pokemon and he looked at Naruto with a quick glance. Charmeleon, use Ember and then Flamethrower. Naruto commanded and Charmeleon grinned at the combo they had worked on. Charmeleon yelled as he sent a huge fireball at the Squirtle and then he sent the flamethrower straight into the Ember and increased the flame to new height of power and speed. The new attack went straight towards the tough little turtle in seconds. Squirt, use Hydro Pump and Withdraw. Joy shouted in panic at the size of the flame that was scorching through that section of the forest. Squirtle nodded and went back into its shell and dodged the attack by shooting water from its head hole and going out of the range of the attack. Charmeleon used Dragon Claw. Naruto ordered in a demanding tone, and the second the Squirtle landed, it was hit by blue glowing claws. The small Pokemon was given no chance as it was knocked out. Joy got her Pokeball out and a red beam hit the knocked out Squirtle. Good job, Squirt. We will get him next time. Joy said as she pissed the Pokeball and put it back on her belt. Naruto looked at the smirking Charmeleon and the two gave each other a quick hi before Charmeleon was placed back into his own Pokeball. Naruto walked over to Joy and held out his hand. Good match. You lasted a long time this match. How is Mankey's training going? Naruto asked, since Joy had been keeping the training of her first Pokemon a secret. She was his self-proclaimed rival after all and wanted to keep a few secrets from him. Heck, she had not even told him her Mankey had started listening to her for the most part unless it was annoyed with her. You would want to know, wouldn't you? I am going to take a bath in the stream. If you peek on me I am going to kill you. Joy threatened and Naruto rolled his eyes. Her body was still not developed enough for him to take any real interest in. Sure, she was really cute, but that did not count for as much when mentally Naruto was in his 20s. Yeah, he acted and looked like a 17-year-old, but that was just his way. Fine by me. Naruto said as she huffed and walked away from him. Naruto just grinned and took out Charmeleon's Pokeball. 4 weeks of battling Squirtle had brought him on the brink of evolving. Now was the time to let him evolve, so throwing the ball in the air, he grinned at the grinning reptile and nodded. Cha Charmeleon Char? The fire lizard Pokemon asked and Naruto nodded. Yeah, I want you to go battle crazy in this forest until you evolve. I will meet you when that happens, but first I have to take care of the guest that has been spying on us. Naruto said as he heard a rustle in the bushes and the Charmeleon rushed off spouting flames from its tail. Naruto smiled as he watched the Pokemon leave, then he scowled and vanished in a burst of speed and appeared on the other side of the bush. He rose an eyebrow at the girl that had been following them and saw Erika on the other side of the bush sleeping. She really needs to stay away from the sleeping power. I can't really leave her here I guess. Naruto said as he picked her up and carried her bridal style. She opened one eye and closed it really quick before he could see her open eye. I am so glad I let Victoria take over the gym for me. I was never going to find a guy there. Erika thought with a small smile. She loved being a gym leader, but she was a 16-year-old girl and had romantic dreams she wanted to follow. At a young age she had been groomed by her parents as a Pokemon trainer and to run a perfume shop. She snuggled into his chest sleepily since she was actually tired. She had sniffed way too much powders from grass Pokemon, half of which had the same effects as drugs that made you see things. She had an obligation as the author of the book How to Care for Grass Pokemon and the sequel What to Be Careful of with Grass Pokemon. These powders had the side effect of making her randomly falling asleep at the weirdest times. Naruto on the other hand was wandering around and trying to find the perfect place to put her down at. He was interrupted on the other hand when he heard a loud scream filling the area. Placing Erika down against a tree he ran towards the sound of the girly scream and jumped through the trees to see Joy wrapped up in the tongue of a lickitung. He was nearly blasted back by a nosebleed as the tongue wrapped around still developing nude breasts. Her womanhood also covered up by the Pokemon's tongue. Even if she was a few years younger than him physically she was still very good looking and she was naked so that added to the charm. She was always wearing baggy clothes and other stuff that hid her body quite a bit. Now that he saw just how womanly she was underneath those clothes. Well, what do you know, pink is her natural hair color and she has S to match in pinkness. Naruto said before he blushed at his own thoughts and turned around. He was still somewhat not used to this kind of thing after 9 years without too much human contact. The only real contact he had was with Pokemon and his Pecha tree, so he needed time to build up a good immunity to sexiness again. Damn it, Naruto. Help me and don't look. Joy yelled and Naruto picked Gyarado's ball from his ball and tossed it into the water. The second the Gyarados appeared, the Lickitung chickened out and fled the scene as fast as possible. One did not see Naruto's Gyarados and not feel fright at first sight. Naruto felt Gyarados nuzzle her giant head into his side. He smiled and started scratching her under the jaw. Brah. She growled happily at the scratching. The two of them had been a team so long now they were simply happy whenever they were in the other's presence. No talking was needed between the two. Gyarados was loyal only to Naruto and lover her master, ever since she was a weak Magikarp, not in the perverted way, like a dog loves their owner, and Naruto had been there with her so long she could not even remember a time without him. Good work, girl. That pervy little bastard was scared shitless of you. When we go to the next city I am going to get you the best treat I can get my hands on. Naruto said in his nicest voice, and he was rewarded for it with a lick from the giant Pokemon's huge tongue. Covering him in slobber, though he was not bothered by it in the least. Unknown to most trainers, Gyarados saliva was very good for the skin. People were just a chicken to try and get some. I am getting dressed, don't you dare turn around. Joy yelled at him and on instinct he turned his head, only for her to kick him in the face. Not that it hurt him, but it was still annoying. Why the hell were you being molested by a Pokemon anyway? Naruto asked in with an oncoming headache. He heard a sigh and could tell she was blushing from the tone she was using next. I may have thought you were peeking on my sexy body when I heard the bushes moving. I also may have threw a rock into the bushes in hopes of hitting you. I hit the Pokemon instead. The girl said and Naruto face-palmed at her stupidity, and this the hell had given her the impression that he was a pervert. You were in the middle of a forest and heard rustling in the bushes and automatically assumed it was me. That is some crazy bullshit. We are in a forest filled to the brim with Pokemon, so did it ever occur to you that it may have been a Pokemon in the bushes before you threw the rock? Naruto asked with deep scolding in his voice, as well as profound disappointment. Gyarados looked at the pink-haired girl in amusement as she tried to come back with a comeback for the statement. You would have done the same thing. She yelled after a few minutes. The FFT, yeah right. I lived in the forest on a rock for 9 years. I don't care about my modesty one bit. Naruto said, and he was met with silence. In the distance he saw a plume of fire erupting in the distance. It would seem Charmeleon has finally reached the point of evolution. He would have to congratulate him later. They were ready for the next gym now. Why are you letting Grass Ass come along with us? She is a gym leader, so she can take care of herself. Joy asked with a twitching eye at the yawning form of Erika, but the ex-gym leader just gave her a soft smile. I figured that Naruto would like some help dealing with a rapid beast, and it looks like I have been proven correct. Erika commented with a snide look at Joy, and now the Joy honestly looked like she just wanted to start foaming at the mouth and rip Erika a new one. Naruto sighed, while his Raichu on his shoulder shook his head as well at the girls fighting. Sure, it was entertaining for a few hours, but now it was getting annoying. Rai? Raichu asked with an annoyed glare at the girls, and Naruto seemed to think about it for half a second before nodding with a grin. Raichu smiled savagely as sparks flew off its cheeks. The girls got no warning before they were shocked with enough volts to knock them both off their feet and onto their asses. Ouch. Damn it. Naruto just kept walking to the gym in the city they were in, as if he did not just order the violent shocking of the two girls behind him. Raichu jumped back on Naruto's shoulder, and the two walked pleasantly. That was until Naruto jumped out of the way to avoid getting hit by a high-speed, moving red car with a 10-year-old driving behind the wheel. The same car in fact that nearly ran him over in the city he met Joy in. Freaking punks. Naruto said with narrowed eyes, and in his distracted state, he never noticed a group of a teen and 2 kids running through the streets until one of them ran right into his and fell to the ground. By instinct Naruto had stuck himself to the ground with chakra to avoid getting knocked over by the kid wearing the red and white hat. Hey. Be careful, Naruto. The kid yelled in shock, and when Naruto looked at the boy he blinked as realized that he had just run into Ash. That boy that had been getting his starter the day he had needed directions. Ash. Good to see you, kid. Naruto said as the 2 girls he was traveling with finally caught up with him and Ash's 2 friends picked him up off the ground. Ash, you need to watch yourself. An orange-haired girl wearing what Naruto would refer to as I need a boyfriend clothes. A dark-skinned male with his eyes closed and spiky hair similar to Naruto's own in style chuckled at Ash's mistake. The girl turned towards Naruto and bowed her head in apology for Ash. I am so sorry, sir, but my idiotic friend here hasn't learned to look before running off yet. I am Misty and the other over there is Brock. Misty introduced and Naruto laughed lightly. No trouble. I actually already know about Ash, and he is a lot like I was as a kid. Nobody got hurt, so no harm done. I am Naruto Uzumaki the Pecha Sage, and this is Rose Joy the foul-mouthed fighting nurse, and Naruto started before Joy hit him in the back of the head for the title he gave her. Fuck you dumbus. Joy said rather simply, but she rubbed her knuckles in pain from the hit. His head seemed to be made of steel, but then again she was pretty sure that anyone that could headbutt a Gyarados 5 times normal size and win had to have a hard head. Okay, so maybe hitting his head made her pain her fault. What crass language. What kind of lady speaks to her leader with such an poisonous tongue? Erika commented slyly, with one of her kimono sleeves covering her mouth, and her eyes were closed to hide the mirth she felt at the having another chance to insult Joy again. You wanna go grass sniffer? My foot might been begging to be broken off in somebody's ass, and you are victim number 1. Joy yelled and she would have attacked Erika, but Naruto flicked her in the forehead. Joy and Erika reminded him so much of him and the bastard it was funny that he would be playing Kakashi. See what I mean, and the last of our group is Erika the Sleeping Beauty. So how have you been, Ash? Have you gotten any badges yet? Naruto asked with a laid-back smile, and while this was going on the Pikachu on Ash's shoulder and Raichu started to have their own conversation silently. Oh yeah I did. Ash yelled in happiness as he pulled open his blue jacket to show that he had a single badge on it. Naruto snickered and Ash looked at him with a confused look, but Brock could see why Naruto was laughing and he had to frown for a second. As the past gym leader of Pewter he knew that his old gym was the weakest of them all, and it would seem Naruto knew that too. Good for you kid. Naruto said as he and his group turned to leave now that small talk was over. It would seem that Ash was having none of that though when Naruto heard a shout. Naruto. I challenge you to a Pokemon battle. Ash yelled and Naruto thought about it for a moment before shrugging it off. He could use a warm-up before wrecking the next gym he was going to. Turning around he could see that both Erika and Joy were showing some form of excitement at the chance to see him battle a newbie and put them in their place. Sure thing kid, but let's make this a little more interesting. The losing group has to pay for lunch at the winner's place of choice. Naruto stated with a confident look and Joy was nearly drooling at the thought of free food. Erika grumbled out how she preferred the berries they had been eating, but even her stomach rumbled a little. Deal. Ash yelled and he was quickly smacked on the back of the head by that Misty girl. You idiot. We don't have that kind of money to pay for all of us. Misty whispered urgently and for a split second Naruto felt bad that he was scamming a lunch out of them, but then Naruto remembered that Ash was the one that accepted the deal anyway. It was not out of his hands now and he wanted a free meal. Small time skip. The battle between Ash Ketchum and Naruto Uzumaki will now begin. The rules are simple, first person to have 3 Pokemon knocked out loses. There will be no switching Pokemon in battle. Brock yelled as the 2 battling trainers stood far apart from each other. Misty stood next to Ash, while Joy sat on the ground by Naruto. Erika had fallen asleep sitting on the ground while leaning against the back of Naruto's legs. It would appear she had one of her sleeping moment, but Naruto did not mind very much. It was part of her charm. You want a battle buddy? Naruto asked his Raichu, but the electrocrat scowled at him for a moment and hopped into Erika's lap to take a nap. There was no way he was going to be used battle such a rookie trainer. A gym leader was one thing, but this upstart was not even worth his time. Raichu Rai. Got it. Naruto said with a laugh before he pulled out the Pokeball for his newest Pokemon and the one that wanted to battle the most. Now would be a good time to test out the weakest setting for his attacks anyway, to judge the difference in power evolution gave him. I choose you Pidgeotto. Ash yelled as he threw the ball in the air and an eagle-looking Pokemon popped out. Naruto blinked in surprise at the fact Ash actually had a descent Pokemon and he could tell the bird was well looked after. Go Charizard. Naruto said as he held his own Pokeball in front of him and opened it manually. Ash and his group gulped when Naruto's Charizard looked at them and the scare on its eye and chest made it look all the more menacing. So epic. Joy whispered since this was her first time seeing Naruto's Charizard out of its ball. Ash was just grinning and pointed his Pokédex at Charizard, but Naruto could tell it was not to figure out his stats. Once Naruto could hear the Dex talking about info on regular Charizards, Naruto questioned Ash's IQ. Did he not know you could find out your opponent's stats with the Pokédex? Awesome. A Charizard. Ash shouted with a big grin. Naruto smiled at the genuine joy Ash had at meeting new Pokemon, but his face grew serious when the battle was about to start. Let the battle begin. Brock yelled as he held up 2 flags in the air. Pidgeotto quick attack. Ash wasted no time yelling and Naruto closed his eyes for a moment before opening them and what was once a warm look was now ice-cold blue eyes that could freeze even fire. Naruto waited for a moment and the second Pidgeotto came too close to Charizard. Naruto gave out his order. Charizard, grab it and use Ember. Naruto said calmly and in a split second, Charizard grabbed both of Ash's Pokemon's wings and held it still in front of his mouth. Fire started gathering around the edges of the reptile Pokemon's grin, and large amounts of fire erupted from its jaw at the restrained Pokemon. Charizard let go of the Pokemon mid-attack and let it get sent flying away. Naruto ignored the flinch he felt himself do at how badly he might have hurt the Pidgeotto, because this was a battle. Don't feel sorry for others when you are battling. The Pidgeotto is unable to battle. Round 1 goes to Naruto and his Charizard. Brock said as Pidgeotto was returned to its Pokeball. Ash looked down sadly, but his confident gaze soon returned when he pulled out another Pokeball. Butterfree. I choose you. Ash yelled as a purple butterfly-looking Pokemon appeared and squeaked in fright when it saw the Pokemon it was up against. Naruto waited for the Pokemon to gather its courage and man up to the challenge. Ash. Bug vs Fire. Do you really think you can win? Misty yelled in annoyance at Ash's rookie mistake, but as much can be expected of a rookie trainer. Naruto spent 7 years living with Pokemon, playing with them, and training with them. He had helped take care of hundreds of hatching Pokemon in the forest, and he was the doctor to all those that had been injured by passing trainers. In the beginning he himself made mistakes, but he had Magikarp, Gyarados by his side to help him out. Ash is just a 10-year-old boy and was just starting out. Naruto had been 17 years old but was trapped in a younger body at the time. Naruto was mentally in his later 20s with actual war experience and had went through things this world had never and will never know. If Naruto wanted he could lead a weak Pokemon against a stronger one and win if he tried hard enough and used his creativity. Ash's brain was literally not as capable of thinking as far ahead as Naruto's was. I believe in Butterfree. Now let's get started. Ash yelled at Misty and Naruto laughed out loud at the guts this kid had. He may be a rookie, but he was a gutsy one. You believe in your Pokemon and they believe in you. Now that is a very beautiful thing. Yes, let the second round start. Naruto said with a small smile on his face. Naruto had lived under a tree for years and he had become what his title had suggested. Naruto was a wise sage, even if he did not show it all the time. Butterfree, use Gust. Ash yelled and Naruto knew that what he was about to do was going to be overkill. He also knew that Ash needed to learn that rookie mistakes would have severe results as well. Charizard, Ember. Naruto spoke calmly and the second Butterfree started to flap its beautiful wings to stir up a gust. It was met with a maelstrom of fire and its own wind hitting it. Once the fires faded, Butterfree was shown to be knocked out on the ground with pretty bad burns. Naruto looked at Ash's shocked face and sighed. Ash, when two Pokemon battle type is not all that matters. While it is true type can be important, it does not mean everything. If a fire is 6 times as powerful as a water attack it will still win. Also, sometimes your attacks can be used against you. Wind naturally fuels fire and then makes it stronger. So while using the two together is a great way to make a strong new attack, when they meet in battle the fire normally wins and powers up. Naruto explained as Butterfree was returned to its Pokeball. This guy has a powerhouse team and he himself is no rookie. Brock thought as he announced Naruto's second victory out of 3. You up for this, buddy? Ash asked and his Pikachu nodded with sparks coming off its cheeks. Pika Pika. You up for another round? Naruto asked. His Charizard crossed its arms and nodded. Naruto earned its respect, so even if it was fighting a weakling, it would gladly do so for the person that he respected. He trusted Naruto because Naruto made him stronger than he had ever been after years of training alone and away from the pack. Pikachu. Use Thundershock Full Blast. Ash yelled as if his victory was assured and Naruto sighed once more and his hand on his head. It would seem the kid would need to see his partner hurt before he truly learned his lesson. The fact he had already lost himself to the battle meant he was not thinking as clearly. Naruto blinked though when he saw the amount of electricity that Pikachu was putting out. For such a small Pokemon it surely was impressive for its training. You know what, Charizard, I want you to use Ember one last time. Naruto stated as the lightning reached its maximum level and started to spark around the Pikachu. Charizard smirked and sent a large fireball straight at the Pikachu, and the explosion knocked Pikachu out of the ring, where it hit its head on the ground and knocked itself out. Surprisingly though it was unharmed by the flames. It would seem that being surrounded lightning had protected Pikachu from being burned, but the pure force of the hit itself was what conked it out. Holy winner. Naruto Uzumaki. Brock yelled in shock and it was well earned. So far nobody had shown off something that impressive before. That Charizard had been able to catch a quick attack, showing great reflexes, it had amazing timing, showing high response time and trust in its trainer, and it was using one of the weakest fire attacks, but even that was about the strength of a flamethrower. There was also the fact the flame on a Charizard's tail showed how strong its fire was. That flame was too big to be normal. Yahoo! Free food. Joy yelled in joy with a jump in the air and Naruto had to chuckle at her excitement before he started to walk over to Ash. The boy had his Pikachu in his arms and Naruto could see the boy wanted to cry over the lose. When Naruto was in arm range he surprised Ash by putting a hand on his shoulder. "Wha?" Ash voiced in confusion when he saw Naruto's smile. "Listen kid. Don't take it hard. You tried and that is all that matters. Win or losing does not matter and you learned from this lose. That means you had a personal victory today and you can try again another day with what you learned backing you up. Your Pokemon did their best and you did your best," Naruto said with a comforting tone, and Ash looked up at Naruto like he was the wisest man in the world. Nobody had explained it just that way to him before, just that losing was okay. "Do you want to hear some advice?" "Well, if want to or not I am giving it to you anyway. There is a difference between ordering your Pokemon around and becoming a team with them," Naruto said cryptically as he let go of Ash's shoulder and turned to leave. When he got to Joy and Erika, who was now awake, he walked past them with a serious expression. He pointed Charizard's Pokeball over his shoulder and sent him back into the small orb. Raichu asked after jumping back onto his father trainer's shoulder, and Naruto chuckled lightly. "Yes, that boy has potential. If he ever reaches that potential is up to how he matures." Joy. Erika. "We are leaving this city and going to another city for the next gym badge. This battle has left a bad taste in my mouth," Naruto said in a rarely demanding voice. Joy wanted to remind him about the free meal, but she could not bring herself to do it. Naruto loved Pokemon and he had just had to teach a lesson to a good kid the hard way. Naruto knew more than anyone that it would be better for the kid if he did not see Naruto for a while. It would only remind of the fact he lost badly. "I understand Naruto," Joy said with an airy sigh as she moved to walk by him and Erika just walked behind Naruto a few steps. She already knew that Naruto walked the path of a sage and she would be trailing him every step of the way. To watch, to learn, and to be the one that recorded his legend. She could see greatness in one Naruto Uzumaki. Chapter end. Wow. Naruto muttered as the group walked through the large city where the Saffron City Gym should be, but honestly they were lost wandering the streets of the city. Naruto, because he had a generally bad sense of direction. Joy, because she had never been to Saffron before. Erika knew where everything was, but as a former gym leader herself, she could not truly help Naruto against other gym leaders. Part of the challenge was actually finding the gym. "This place is pretty awesome," Joy said with a grin at the fact this place had more city than actual trees. Naruto may love spending the night in the forest and Erika may prefer sleeping in the woods, but she on the other hand was a city girl at heart. Celadon City was much less creepy than this place. "Car." Erika shouted as she jumped out of the way of a red car while she pulled Joy out of the way with her. Just because Erika disliked Joy did not mean that she wanted her to die. She had seen Naruto get hit by worse things in their limited time together, so a car was nothing. The world seemed to go into slow motion as Naruto jumped into the air and did a backflip as the car slowly passed by under him. Naruto's eyes lit up in anger when he saw that this was the same 10-year-old that had nearly ran him over the other 2 times. In slow motion Naruto saw the 10-year-old give him a peace sign and then time went back into normal swing, with Naruto landing on his feet behind the car as it sped away. Naruto looked at the license plate of the car and saw a name of it. Gary Oak. Motherfucking Gary Oak. Naruto shouted in rage as he started to chase after the car by foot. No seriously, Naruto was steadily starting to catch up to the car without even using his chakra to enhance his speed. He was going to catch this kid and he was going to kick his ass. He was not even going to do it in a Pokemon battle, just a good old-fashioned ass kicking. "Wait up Naruto." Naruto heard a yell from behind him, but he ignored it in favor of chasing down the kid that nearly ran him over 3 times. "Third strike motherfucker." "Strike 3." Naruto said, but Gary got away when Naruto saw a hurt Pokemon on the side of the road and stopped in front of it. The Pokemon was covered in mud and wasn't moving very much at all. There was another thing that had Naruto worried. It had a stump for a tail. "Poke slow poke poke." The Pokemon whimpered weakly and Naruto gained a hardened look in his eyes when he picked the Pokemon up gently into his arms. Not even caring that he was getting mud all over his arms and clothes, nor the fact the Pokemon was digging its teeth into Naruto's arm to soothe its own pain. Naruto started running towards where he hoped the Pokemon Center was, but he slowed himself down so that the Slowpoke in his arms would not become too injured by the jogging. "Don't worry little guy, we will get you to the Pokemon Center as soon as possible," Naruto whispered as he passed by a set of gyms and made a mental note of where they were located for future needs. "Naruto." Erika yelled as she caught up to him first, with Joy not far behind. She gasped when she saw the extremely injured Pokemon in his arms and pulled his shirt to get him to follow her. "The Pokecenter is this way," she yelled as she turned down the next street and the second the center was in view, Naruto ran full speed towards it in a few seconds while still being careful with the Pokemon. "Nurse Joy. There is an emergency." Naruto yelled the second he got through the door and the Joy behind the desk immediately ran to go get a stretcher. A few seconds later the same Joy came back, with her Chansey by her side. Do you know what happened? Joy asked as she looked the Pokemon over quickly to see what the major wounds were, and while they pushed the stretcher towards the treatment room, Naruto was able to tell her everything he knew. Though, all he knew was that the tail of the Pokemon was missing. No. I was just chasing something when I saw him on the side of the road. Naruto said, but was forced to stay out of the surgery room when they crossed through the doors. Naruto sat down on the bench outside the operating room and was soon joined by Joy and Erika. That looks nasty. Joy commented to lighten the mood while looking at the bleeding bite mark on Naruto's muscled arm. It was still freely bleeding and the bite had gotten pretty deep. Naruto looked down at his arm but shrugged it off. It was a small price to pay to make sure that the Pokemon had been okay. It was worth it. Naruto said as he crossed his arms and waited to see how the Pokemon would do. Erika nodded in understanding, since she had figured Naruto would be the type of person to put themselves in harm's way to help others. Though that did not stop her from reaching into her small backpack and pulling out some bandages to wrap around his arm. Did you get the brat that nearly killed us? Joy asked, and Naruto scowled. That brat had gotten away this time, but if he ever saw that kid again he was going to be kicking some ass. Then he would find out who gave the kid the car and kick their ass too. It was not revenge, it was justice. What sick idiots gave a 10-year-old a car? If that was not worthy of a brutal beating, then he would not know who else to beat on for this injustice. No, just I have a feeling we won't see this last of Gary Oak. Naruto said, before he heard his name being called. Is there a Mr. Naruto Uzumaki here? One of the assistants to the center called from the help desk she attended to when Nurse Joy was in the operating room. It did take more than one person to run a hospital after all, even one this small. It wasn't like there was some kind of magic machine that fully healed Pokemon in a few seconds, yet would only fit 6 Pokeballs. Yes, that would be me. Naruto said as he got up and made his way towards the front desk. The woman handed him a piece of paper and gave him a polite bow. There is a call coming from Pallet Town for you. The woman said before she started to do some paperwork in silence. Naruto looked at the paper and saw what video phone was calling him. Who do I know in Pallet Town? Naruto questioned as he sat down in front of the phone and pressed the caller accept button. In a second a pretty woman with a yellow shirt and small pink jacket appeared on the screen. Her hair was brown and kept up in a ponytail, while her eyes were a warm honey brown color. Delia? Naruto asked as her name came to his mind. At least it wasn't a total stranger, but he still wondered how she knew where he would be. It was kinda strange, but then again all a person had to do was call a Pokécenter and see if they had records of a certain person entering a Pokécenter. Hello Naruto. I was just checking in on you and thank you for helping my son learn to be a better trainer. When I was his age and starting on my journey, I wish I had somebody that I could look up to like you and give me advice on being a better trainer. Delia said with a pleasant sigh. Was she angry at Naruto for beating her son? No, winning and losing was part of life, and at least Naruto had made a point of teaching this lesson to Ash early on. Ash had gone on about how cool Naruto was when they battled, and he spoke about how he wanted to battle Naruto again one day when he got stronger. She could easily see that her son already saw Naruto as a person he looked up to and wanted to be like. Then thanks I guess, but I didn't really do all that much. The kid needs to learn these kinds of lessons firsthand instead of just hearing about them. You raised him well and should be proud. He will become a good trainer one day in the future. Naruto complimented and she blushed lightly at the way he was talking. Naruto's voice was like honey to her and he spoke with the experience of somebody twice his age. Like those old men that called themselves sages. Even from over the phone he gave off a very peaceful vibe that calmed her down and it made her want to change for the better. Then would it be too much to ask you to keep teaching him? Delia asked with a nervous smile and Naruto looked at her for a few moments before sighing. I am not going to follow the kid around, but if I do run into him again I guess I don't mind teaching him a thing or two. The point of a journey is to learn these kinds of things through experience, but I will see what I can do. Naruto said and the young mother beamed at him. That was just the answer she was looking for, she would have liked to have him travel with her son for his protection, but this was a good thing as well. Thank you very much, and if you ever need a place to stay in Pallet Town, you just have to ring me up. Delia offered, before she took a few sniffs of the air and hung up the phone in a panic to go run into the kitchen. Weird. Naruto said as he stood up to go check on the situation with the Slowpoke and when he got back to the bench, he saw the Nurse Joy waiting for him. Not waiting for her to start talking he began first. So what is the situation? Naruto asked and the Nurse Joy smiled at him. Other than the lost tail, the only visible problem with this Pokemon was that was had a few scrapes here and there. Slowpokes can grow their tails back, but this has started to become a common thing lately. Nurse Joy said, and Erika nodded her head as if remembering something. Yeah, I think there was a notice about that sent to the gym leaders a few years back when I was still training to be a gym leader under the old leader. Slowpoke tails are considered a delicacy in other regions, and when done correctly losing the tail does not hurt them too badly. Most Slowpoke don't even notice until it has already grown back. They are very okay, I am just going to say it, Slowpoke are very stupid Pokemon. The fact this one noticed means it must be one of the rare smart ones, or it was cut off incorrectly. Erica explained, and both Naruto and Joy looked at her with blank expressions. Though they had different reasons for that, Joy had no clue that Slowpoke tails were tasty, and Naruto was just wondering who had been the first person to eat a Slowpoke tail. Yes, with a good night's sleep and a healthy diet this Slowpoke should be back to normal in a week. Nurse Joy said, and since this was no longer Naruto's problem he started to walk away. The Slowpoke was going to be fine, and he was just going to leave it to the police to find the person that did this. It was not his problem, and if he got too involved it would attract too much attention to him. If this had been going on for a long time and nobody found anything wrong with it, then who was he to put a stop to something that wasn't considered illegal? I am going to face the gym here now. Naruto said as he walked out of the center with a quick hop to his step. Now that he knew where it was he was going to, he would challenge the gym and win his second badge. Wait up. Joy yelled as she caught up to them, while Erica had fallen asleep randomly in the sitting position on the bench. That was not all that strange anymore to them, since she had even fallen asleep while walking and continued to walk until she ran into a tree. You coming? Naruto asked, and she punched him in the arm playfully. Naruto did not mind it too much, since that arm was already nearly healed from Kurama's chakra naturally running through him. You're my teacher, so not watching you win against a gym leader would be an insult to your skills as a trainer. Joy said as she turned her head away from him so that he would not see her blushing. They walked in general silence until they came across two gyms side by side. Hiding Dojo Saffron City Gym. I could always use a warm-up. Naruto spoke neutrally as he walked to the fighting dojo and walked through the open doors of the wooden building. It was styled on the inside like an average training room for martial arts, and sitting with his back face to them was a large man. On either side of his was a pokeball on a pillow sitting on green pillows. Warm up my ass, he just wants to get in some more battling. His Raichu had been bitching about not getting a strong challenger for weeks, and I am the one that little rat takes its annoyance out on. Joy thought as the man sitting in the middle of the room stood up and turned to them to show that he was in the middle of eating a bowl of udon noodles. Hello, my name is Koichi, can I help you two with something? The large man asked before Naruto took out one of his pokeballs and pointed it at the man. In an unspoken agreement the man grinned and pulled out a pokeball from the pocket of his karate uniform. I see, a young challenger coming to claim one of the prizes for defeating me in combat. What good fortune I have been blessed with by the heavens this fine day. The man said, and at the same time both him and Naruto threw their pokeballs. The balls hit each other in midair, and when the Pokemon came out they were facing back to back before hopping away from each other. The Hitmonlee, this is a first for you Raichu. Think you can handle such a good adversary? Naruto asked with a grin, and his Pokemon returned it as electrical sparks flew off its cheeks in a show of anticipation. Hitmonlee, you know how we roll. Let's start this off with a powerful high jump kick. Koichi yelled, and the Hitmonlee pumped its arms in joy and jumped at Raichu with such high energy that Naruto was briefly reminded of Rock Lee. Sadly though, Naruto had taught Raichu how to counter fighting types that used powerful kicking blows. Raichu, duck under the kick and wrap your tail around its waist. Naruto said calmly, and the second Raichu followed his instruction the Hitmonlee was pulled from the air and slammed onto the ground. Raichu hopped on Hitmonlee's head and grinned down at it sadistically. Hitmonlee, roll out from under it. Koichi yelled, but it was already too late for the fighting-type Pokemon when Naruto gave out his next order. Raichu, use Thunder. Naruto ordered simply, and from this range it was a painless knockout for the fighting Pokemon. It didn't even stand a chance against the lightning-type Pokemon, shocking the living hell out of it. So with a hearty laugh Koichi returned his Pokemon to the ball and pulled out his last Pokemon. Naruto truly is a good trainer. Joy thought at how easy that match was, but then again Raichu and Gyarados were champion-class Pokemon in their own right. Only other elite class and above would stand a chance. Let's get pumped up Hitmonchan. Koichi shouted with a grin, and he tossed his next Pokemon, and the opposite of his last one came up. His Pokemon did some practice punches, and Naruto sighed. This was going to be easier than he thought it was, and that was no fun. Being powerful sucked, and having strong partners wasn't as fun when battling. Raichu, use Volt Tackle. Naruto ordered without any real tone to his voice, and Joy noticed that both Naruto and Raichu were starting to look bored. Like they no longer thought this would be fun, or that their opponent was no longer worth the effort. Raichu sighed before it started to run at Hitmonchan too fast for it to dodge, and lightning covered its body. The fighting type was hit right in the stomach and slammed into the wall. The force of the hit knocked the wind out of the Pokemon, and the attack itself knocked the fighting type out like a light. Koichi seemed to be stunned at his loss, but then he started to chuckle loudly before sitting down in between the two Pokeballs on the pillows. As your prize for winning trainer, you may take one of these Pokemon as your own for winning here this fine day. The one on the left is Koichi started, before he saw Naruto with his hand raised, signaling him to stop speaking. Naruto looked at Raichu, and the two shared a silent conversation before the lightning-type Pokemon ran and grabbed the Pokeball on the left and ran back to hook it on Naruto's belt. I guess I still have 4 free Pokeballs left to catch other Pokemon. Now I just have to figure out a way to turn off that teleporting feature on the Pokédex so that they aren't teleported away from me when I catch more than 6. Naruto thought as he turned around to leave, but he still looked back at Koichi and decided to give the man some advice. Battling is good, but you have to play to your Pokemon's strengths. Using jumping moves on shorter Pokemon is a mistake, you should have started with a low kick. Naruto lectured before exiting the gym, with a stunned Joy behind him. Raichu jumped on top of Naruto's head when they were out of the gym, which was funny, since he was much bigger than his friend's head. That was awesome. Joy said, before she saw Naruto heading into the gym right next to the fighting dojo. She grinned at the chance to see him battle again and followed him eagerly. Now that Naruto had finished warming up, it was time for him to challenge the actual gym of the city. He was going to show this gym why his name stood for Maelstrom. Sabrina, the mistress of psychic Pokemon? Naruto questioned as he looked at the final door to the gym. As it would seem, Naruto had to defeat at least a dozen trainers before even getting to this point. All of them were disappointing challenges that could not stand up to his Pokemon. The strange part was that every person only used one Pokemon. I wonder what kind of Pokemon she uses. Joy wondered out loud for a moment before she saw Naruto looking at her with a raised eyebrow and face palmed. Yeah, she felt stupid for asking that question at that very moment. The type of Pokemon she used was on the sign in front of the final door, and every trainer before now used psychic Pokemon. Don't say it. Joy muttered murderously, and Naruto raised his hands in surrender. He was not dumb enough to risk feminine fury right before a gym battle that was. In any other case he would tease the hell out of her. I wasn't going to say anything. Naruto commented slyly before the door of the gym burst open without anything pushing or pulling on it. With the door open, Naruto was able to sense something he had not since he had summed to this world. A chakra source. Enter. A reverberating female voice ordered from the darkness of the next room. Even the light from the room they were currently in did not make it into the other room, and when they were about to enter, a barrier of some sort stopped from going into the room. Naruto put his hand on the barrier and he felt a pulse of chakra stopping them from entering. The chakra source on the other hand slightly diminished, but then the source recharged its chakra quickly. What the hell? Joy yelled as she shoved her hands and face into the barrier to try and push through. It was kinda amusing to see her flattening her cheek against nothing. Naruto channeled chakra around his body and took a step forward through the barrier like it was not even there. I guess only I am supposed to enter, see you when I kick some ass. Naruto said before turning into the darkness and walking forward. The door shut behind him, and if he had not felt another pulse, he would have freaked out that the gym was haunted. Naruto did not do well with ghosts or ghost types. The problem was that ghost-type Pokemon seemed to love him. Trainer Naruto Uzumaki, I formally welcome you to attempt to earn your Marsh badge this day. I have foreseen this day 5 years ago in a vision, and today my vision has come to pass. The rules of the battle are simple, this will be a 3-on-3 battle. The winner is the one to knock out the opponent's Pokemon first, and there shall be no changing Pokemon during battle. The voice that Naruto was sure was Sabrina said, and suddenly the lights of the gym turned on to reveal a young and attractive woman with a dark bluish hair that curled up at the ends. Her reddish-pink eyes looked on with no ordinary emotion, neither shock nor enjoyment. She wore a pink tank top with thin, vertical black lines. It had thin straps, and it cut off just above her belly button, and it just went over the top of her moderately sized breasts. Unlike Erika and Joy, who wore loser clothes, Sabrina wore white skinny jeans and a large belt that was simply there as a fashion statement to hold her pokeballs than to hold her pants up. Her shoes were simple pink slip-ons for comfort, but the strangest thing was around her wrists were large black wristbands with green glowing lines on them. Her skin was a bit paler, but not to that unhealthy level. It was more like a natural pale of a person that just could not get a tan even if they tried. This girl is quite the trendy. Naruto thought, and Sabrina's eyes narrowed slightly. She closed her eyes and smiled for a brief moment before she reached behind her and grabbed the first Pokeball off the back of her belt. She silently tossed the ball into the air, a yellow Pokemon with some white hair on its body and a big nose appeared. What would you do, Naruto Uzumaki? Sabrina thought as she attempted to read Naruto's mind, but all she got in return was the fuzzy image of a giant set of bars blocking her out. Strange, because nobody had ever blocked her out of their minds before. This was the first time she had ever been in a person's company without hearing their thoughts. "Let's burn things up, Charizard," Naruto said, and Sabrina held back a chuckle at his choice of words. That was so corny it was funny, but she kept her amusement off of her face. Charizard roared before looking at the Pokémon in front of it with a fierce glare. "Hypo," Sabrina muttered lowly, and the Pokémon seemed to get her unspoken order. The medallion in its hand started to glow, and Naruto's Charizard was lifted into the air and thrown against a wall hard enough to actually damage the fire-type Pokémon. Naruto's narrowed his eyes before figuring out what she had done. "Charizard, close your eyes and do exactly as I say," Naruto said as he closed his eyes with his Pokémon. It would seem that psychic attacks and powers used a type of energy he was able to track to latch onto other Pokémon before taking effect. The energy was close to chakra, but it was a bit different. His Pokémon did not hesitate to do as commanded, and it flew towards the battlefield once more. "Interesting, Hypno used Psychic and finished this off," Sabrina thought as she sent a mental command to her father's old Pokémon from when he was the gym leader. Honestly, only one of her Pokémon was actually hers. Hypno still obeyed her though, and to Naruto the world was dark, but a blue light started to head towards Charizard coming from the field in front of him. "Charizard, fly to the left and circle around 40 feet. Naruto commanded calmly, and once Charizard did as commanded, Naruto felt the light feeling start to fade away. Sabrina blinked in surprise at how her attack missed, but more so that Naruto was able to instruct a Pokémon to dodge a psychic-type attack. "Charizard, use Flamethrower on the ground 30 degrees down to your left," Naruto ordered, and Sabrina expected a regular-sized fire stream to exit the Pokémon's mouth. What she got was unexpected when a large torrent of flame erupted from the blinded Pokémon's mouth and crashed into the Hypno. "Hypno, use Recover and keep it going until the Charizard's attack ends," Sabrina ordered through her thoughts, and as her Pokémon started to regain its stamina and heal its injuries, it kept getting hurt and burned from the constant assault of the fire. For a few minutes this became a battle of who would give out first, and once Charizard lost its breath it landed on the ground. The Hypno was soon revealed panting as well from the mental strain of constantly recovering itself while being injured. "Hypno, use Psychic to lift a rock from the ground and toss that at Charizard," Sabrina commanded in her head, and after a few moments the Pokémon's eyes glowed blue and the sound of earth crunching was heard as a large rock lifted up from the ground under them and was tossed at Charizard. "Charizard, use Metal Claw in front of you in 2 seconds," Naruto ordered as he used his ears this time to guess when the rock he felt get ripped from the ground would hit his Pokémon. Charizard nodded, and with a grey glow of its claws, it waited a second and swung his hand forwards and was rewarded with a boulder shattering before coming in contact with him. "Bravo!" Charizard roared with a mighty resounding echo that made Hypno flinch for a moment. Now this was a battle of skills. His Pokémon trusts him without doubt, and that trust is rewarded by well-issued commands that are based on this trust. "You are very good with Pokémon Pecha Tree Sage. No matter though, you have been foreseen to lose to me," Sabrina thought as she remembered what little details could have that fuzzy vision. Her pink eyes looked at Naruto's calm face, but focused on his closed eyes. He must have some advanced ability to sense the energy of psychic-type Pokémon and moves, or he is very in tune with his senses. Sabrina thought for a moment before she heard Naruto make his next command. "Charizard, use Smokescreen," Naruto said, and with that said Charizard released a large load of black ash from its mouth that covered most of the area. Sabrina easily located Charizard with her own psychic powers though, and planned accordingly. "Hypno, use Recover while you have the chance," Sabrina planned, since as long as she avoided attacking him, he shouldn't be able to sense where they were. If she used his chance to recover her injured Pokémon again, she would have the advantage. Charizard used Body Slam and Fire Spin at the same time. Naruto stated as if talking about the weather, and with a roar that cleared away much of the smoke his Pokémon was seen flying at Hypno covered in flames. "Use Psychic and stop it in its tracks, Hypno," Sabrina said out loud, but as Hypno made the psychic connection with Charizard, it was already too late for the Hypno when Naruto's Pokémon rammed into it head first. Hypno hit the wall and slammed back into the ground before it stood back up and looked at Charizard. "Hypno, Psybeam," Sabrina said with her mind again, and the Pokémon pointed its medallion at Charizard and sent a multicolored beam attack at Charizard. "Charizard, finish this with Hyper Beam right in front of you," Naruto said, because while Sabrina's Hypno was older and higher ranked than his Charizard, he could use the fact that Hyper Beam was a naturally more powerful move. Naruto face-palmed when the Hyper Beam missed the Psybeam, and both attacks hit the opposite Pokémon. Both Pokémon were sent flying back by the strong attacks, and Naruto watched as Charizard shakily stood up from its beating. Hypno on the other hand stayed down. Sabrina silently returned Hypno to its Pokeball before grabbing her next one out from behind her. Throwing out her next one, Sabrina watched as a clone-looking Pokémon appeared in the red light. "Damn, is that thing creepy," Naruto thought, but then again clowns were never his friends. He was not afraid of them like some were, but they were still creepy. Mr. Mime, use confusion. Sabrina thought, and Charizard heard Naruto make his command next. Charizard, use Dragon Breath to your left. Naruto commanded, and the attack is spot on just as the psychic attack tossed Charizard into the air. Charizard flapped its wings to maintain balance and gain flight, while Mr. Mime was forced to stay on the ground. Mr. Mime, use Confuse Ray. Sabrina thought before Mr. Mime's body twitched and convulsed. Sabrina narrowed her eyes at the signs of the side effects of that attack. This got a little more complicated than it needed to be, but it was of no major consequence to her just yet. Charizard, open your eyes and use Fire Blast. Naruto commanded sternly, and Sabrina felt the urge to curse out loud. That was a powerful attack, and right now Mr. Mime was unable to dodge it. She was proven correct when the attack crashed down right on Mr. Mime, but she also saw the sad eyes Naruto gave her Pokémon. It would seem that Naruto shared her opinion on Pokémon battles in general. Charizard landed on the ground in exhaustion from the brutal way it had been battling and the higher tier attacks it had been using. Not to mention the fact it had taken some powerful attacks from the Hypno as well. Mime Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime spoke as it hopped out of the fire covered in burns, but none of them were truly life-threatening or debilitating. It would be able to continue this fight just fine, but that attack that been a powerful one. Recover Mr. Mime, well his Pokémon is tired. Sabrina thought, content with her ability to read into how exhausted Charizard was. The Pokémon was barely able to stand up, so she should be okay for the moment to recover her Pokémon. Use Bite now, well it is going nothing. Naruto ordered quickly and Charizard jumped forward and chomped down on Mr. Mime. Mime. Mr. Mime shouted in pain, while Charizard just kept biting it over and over, ruining its concentration and breaking its ability to recover. It would appear that Mr. Mime was not as strong as Hypno and could not ignore the pain. Mr. Mime, hit it with a Psybeam. Sabrina said, hoping that the next attack would hit. Her hopes were proven good when Charizard was blasted off of his feet and sent onto its back. He tried to get back up but fainted just like Hypno did earlier. Naruto pulled out his Pokeball and returned his knocked out Charizard to his ball. Good job buddy. Naruto said as he hooked the ball back to his belt and pulled out another Pokeball and held it out in front of him. It opened while still in his hand and in front of him appeared Raichu. Sparks flying off his cheeks in anticipation for what was to come, but it looked at the hurt state of the Pokémon in front of it and deadpanned at Naruto. Raichu. Raichu commented, and Sabrina felt her eye twitch at the blatant insult to her Pokémon with such a crude mouth. Never before had she heard such language out of a Pokémon's mouth before. If Naruto was the calm one of the two, then Raichu was the Spitfire that insulted everything that was not its trainer. Your Pokémon has a mouth on him. Sabrina commented neutrally, but she smiled very lightly at how different this Raichu was from all the other ones she had beaten before. It just goes to show you that Pokémon were as varied as humans personality-wise. Yeah, but it's his personality so I won't change it. I don't want to force him to be something he isn't. That is bad training, Pokémon are all unique. Naruto commented with a grin before he grew serious again. Sabrina got the message, even if she couldn't read his mind, and grew serious as well. Mr. Mime, create a barrier. Sabrina thought, and the Pokémon held its hands in front of its body as an invisible wall separated the two Pokémon. This should buy her a minute of time to recover. Raichu, quick attack and then follow it up with Iron Tail. Naruto suggested to his Pokémon, trusting the Pokémon he raised to go with the best option. Raichu ran forward and started to do a flip in the air as its tail glowed like steel. He smashed through the invisible barrier with its speed-enhanced tail and smashed Mr. Mime head into the ground. Raichu. Raichu yelled in victory as it started to dance on top of the fainted Mr. Mime. Naruto face-palmed again, but chuckled lowly anyway. Raichu landed on the ground when Sabrina recalled her Pokémon to its ball. You are the first person in 2 years to have gotten me to my last Pokémon, but I am undefeated in the last 4 years. This is the end of the line, Naruto Uzumaki, but you are welcome to try again another day. Sabrina said as she tossed her Pokémon high up in the air and in a flash of light a Pokémon holding 2 spoons with yellow and brown skin looked at Naruto. Alakazam. The Alakazam stated with confidence and Naruto smirked lightly. This had gotten more interesting. Raichu Thunder. Alakazam Psybeam. The two attacks met in the middle of the stadium and the dust made from the explosion was lifted into the air. Raichu burst from the smoke covered in electricity and jumped at Alakazam before it could react. Raichu, use Mega Punch. Naruto said with his Pokémon got within range of the taller Pokémon. Psychic. Sabrina ordered quickly and Naruto's Raichu twisted its body before the link on its body could form. Thankfully for the Alakazam, Raichu lost focus on its attack and landed harmlessly on the ground behind its opponent. Raichu, Extreme Speed, Double Team, and Thunderbolt. Naruto ordered and Sabrina saw multiple Raichus running around her Pokémon. She tried to find out which one was the real one, but they simply moved around too fast for even her mind to register which one was which before the signal changed to another one. Her Pokémon was assaulted by multiple lightning strikes. This Pokémon is too fast, and its lightning attacks are too powerful to stop in time before they hit. Sabrina thought as her mind thought about the situation she was in and over 200 different ideas to get out of it. This was all more impressive since she did it in under 4 seconds. She sighed and realized that she had lost, since all her plans involved Alakazam ending up with less than a third of his stamina. Naruto still had his last Pokémon left and she could feel the power humming from the last Pokeball. It was so much stronger than her Alakazam it would be a punishment to make her precious partner face such a monster. Stop the match. Challenger Naruto Uzumaki, you win this match. Now, please return your Pokémon to its ball. Sabrina said as the two of them returned their Pokémon to their Pokeballs. Sabrina looked at Naruto with a curious expression, since this was the first time one of her visions had been proven wrong. Such a curious person, your mind cannot be read, and neither do you follow your predestined path like a mindless peon. Sabrina thought as she reached into her back pocket and pulled out a golden badge in the shape of a circle. Naruto took the badge when it was handed to him with a smile. The Marsh badge, eh? Well, this is just another step in the road for me. Thank you for the good battle, Sabrina, but if you always rely on your link between your Pokémon to communicate, you slow down your own perception time. Saying a command out loud may be a hassle, but you are at least able to multitask. Naruto said as he turned around to leave, but he felt her eyes staring into the back of his head. I must speak with father. Sabrina thought as she watched Naruto leave the room before she closed her eyes and shut the door with her power. Taking off her belt, she took the 3 Pokémon she got from her father off and left only her own Pokémon on it. With Naruto 20 minutes later. Did you have fun? Erika asked when Naruto and Joy sat next to her again, but Joy's mood was noticeably more sour than it should have been. She had missed something that she guessed was a kick-ass battle. Anything that knocked out one of Naruto's Pokémon was a great battle. Yeah, Raichu had a great time. Charizard might not admit it, but I am sure he had fun too. She was in a totally different level than you are, Erika. Naruto said without thinking, but Erika just nodded to the statement. It was true, and if Surge ever used more than his Raichu he would outrank her too, making her the 3rd weakest gym leader in this league. Sabrina was one of the top 3 of the gym leaders in Kanto. I wouldn't know about that because I didn't see any of it. Joy said bitterly, since the closest thing she had seen to an actual Pokémon battle was when Naruto earned that prize Pokémon which she still did not know what it was. Oh, such it up, it isn't like you will be missing for all my battles. Heck, one day when your Pokémon listens to you fully you might get into your own battle. Speaking of which. Hey Erika, what Pokémon did you bring with you on this trip? Naruto asked, and Erika thought about it. Most of her Pokémon had been gym-owned and automatically went to whoever was running the gym. Bloom. Erika said, and Naruto waited for her to say more only to see that was all she was going to be saying. Ha. So the grass stain only has a gloom. Joy said mockingly, but Erika just smiled slyly at her. Yes, but at least my Pokémon listens to me. You may have 2 Pokémon, but they are unable to beat me own in battle. Of course, the Pokémon of such an uncouth girl would be just as unruly. Erika commented, and Joy smashed her forehead into the ex-gym leaders. You want to go, grass sniffer? Joy said loudly, and Erika returned the challenging glare with a calm, yet hard look of her own. I believe the term is screw you nurse dropout. Erika said, and Naruto just smiled at how friendly they were being with each other. Just like how he and Sasuke used to act, oh look at him acting like an old man. Naruto raised an eyebrow though when the resident Chansey grabbed both girls by the back of the shirts and forced them to sit down. Chansey say Chansey chan Chansey. The pink nurse Pokémon said sternly and the girls looked at him for translation. She said sit down and shut up, there are injured Pokémon here or you will be kicked out of the center. Naruto said, and the grateful Chansey took the egg out of her pouch before reaching into it and pulling out 2 yellow slips of paper. Chansey Chansey. The Pokémon said as she handed each girl 1 slip each. She said that those are for naughty trainers, please don't get us kicked out of the center so soon. Naruto said after translating what the Chansey had said. Sometimes speaking Pokémon was a handy skill, but then again he had no idea how he was able to do it in the first place. Not that it really mattered, either way he still had the ability. Ouch. Naruto said as he lifted his leg to see the bandage Slowpoke from earlier chomping on his leg to get his attention. His tail had already started growing back and he seemed to be in well condition, or at least well enough to be moving around. Slow. Slowpoke said, and Naruto thought about it for a moment. Tell you what, we will be here for another few days anyway. When you are fully healed I will gladly take you along with me. Can you tell me what took your tail from you? Naruto asked, and the Slowpoke took a moment to respond. Poke slow. Slowpoke said in a lazy drawl, but still an intelligent one. Just like Shikamaru actually, oh if Shikamaru was here he would totally want one of these. So there has been a Sither in the city running around attacking other Pokemon. Thank you for the information, now the police of the city will know what to look for. Naruto commented, and the nurse Joy came and found the slowpoke before picking it up and taking it back to his room. I still find it freaky you can understand what Pokemon say. Joy said after a moment, and Erika nodded. She only understood the gist of what grass Pokemon said half the time. Very unusual indeed. Erika agreed, and Joy was about to insult her before she saw a Chansey peeking around the corner and shivered. Creepy? Not quite, those that have a psychic connection to Pokemon usually are able to understand them without trying. They heard the voice of Sabrina say, and she handed her Pokeballs to the nurse to heal them. That battle had left them in need of medical attention after all. Naruto, who is this creepy girl? Joy asked lowly and with a threatening tone that was usually reserved for Erika these days. Usually it is very polite to ask the very person you are speaking of when you inquire as to their name. I expected no less from one of the average peons that would surround themselves with greater beings so that they may better themselves. Sabrina said, and Erika shook her head. Sabrina might not be what one would call arrogant, but she was not very talented when it came to talking to other people. She usually said exactly what she was thinking about a person, and no more or less. I have no clue what she just said, but it sounded like this pink eye here wants a crack at me. Joy said as she got up in Sabrina's face, and Naruto sighed when Joy was forced back into her seat by Sabrina's psychic power. What a very crude person my object of interest has with him. Would it be too much to assume from your pink hair and blue eyes that you are a Joy? Never mind answering that, I already have my answer. Rose Joy, age 16, current Pokemon team is a disobedient Mankey and a prankster Squirtle. You dislike the idea of being connected with the Nurse Joy family, so you dress and act in a manner opposite to those you are related to. You are the shiny Mareep in the bunch it would seem. Sabrina said as she dove deep into Joy's mind and found out everything about her life. Everything from her darkest secrets to the first boy she had a crush on. You haven't changed a bit, Sabrina. Erika commented dryly, and Sabrina tilted her head. I have always thought I was perfect the way I was, so any reason to change contradicts this thought. You have not changed either, Erika, so your comment is unwarranted. Sabrina said as one of the Pokécenter workers brought her some tea while her Pokémon were being healed. Though, I do wonder why you are not at your gym at the moment. Your mind has always been so scattered that peering through your eyes causes my mind much stress and disturbs my mental state. Sabrina questioned in her own way, and Naruto was able to read in between the lines. Sabrina could read Erika's mind like she did Joy's, but makes her high. Maybe being a grass sniffer wasn't such a bad thing after all. I have no clue what is going on, but I don't like this pink-eyes big-breasted slut. Joy thought with a deadpan. She was still trying to figure out just what Sabrina had said to her, and now she was using more complicated sentences. Her head hurt. Then might I advise you take medication for your sore head? Sabrina suddenly suggested as she looked at Joy, and the pink-haired girl looked at Sabrina in surprise. Great, a psychic know-it-all that can read minds. Joy thought with a freaked-out look, but that was mostly because Sabrina's face never changed when she spoke. Know-it-all is not quite the correct term. I neither have all the knowledge in the world, nor am I able to read Naruto Uzumaki's mind. Psychic though is just the general term, I am a prodigy in the art of telepathy and many other psychic arts. My main skill being telekinesis. Sabrina commented neutrally, and Joy felt a little like her privacy had been invaded. I have no intention of invading your privacy, but my wrists were chafing, so I had to take off my psychic limiters for a small amount of time. Right now my mind-reading abilities are rather hard to control. Sabrina said as she gestured to her slightly red wrists. Naruto looked at the small group of girls and got a bad feeling. He just hoped that Sabrina wasn't going to try and follow him, because he could tell that these three would not be able to get along with each other very well. The rough around the edges Joy that would get in your face without hesitating and was itching to kick somebody's ass. The calm Erika that would make snide comments but would also fall asleep on a moment's notice. The psychic Sabrina that seemed to be as straightforward as they came and was not afraid to use force to get what she wanted. He could only wonder how many problems this might cause for him. First a grass sniffer and now a psycho queen. What the hell about Naruto attracts so many women to him? Joy asked herself as she attempted to bond with her Mankey. Needless to say, the Pokémon did not respect her at all, but that may be because he had knocked it out with a rock before catching it. Admittedly not the best first impression, but she was not like Naruto. She could not understand what Pokémon said, and she was a city girl. Pokémon had never truly liked her as much if they were raised in the wild. Squirtle. She heard before she was knocked on her ass by high-pressured water hitting her in the face. She looked at the culprit and saw her own Squirtle rolled onto the back of its shell from laughing too hard. Why the hell am I the only one with such disobedient Pokémon? Grass Sniffer's Gloom listens to her every words, and Naruto's Pokemon obey him without question. What's that noise? Joy thought as she returned Squirtle and Mankey to their Pokeballs, and she walked over to the sounds of flesh smacking flesh. They were currently in one of the very few parks in the city, and the sounds were coming from the clearing trainers were allowed to use for battles. Hitman. Use more power. She heard, and when she peeked over the bushes, she saw the sight of Naruto sparring with a Hitmonlee in a battle of kicks, which Naruto seemed to be winning. They simply stood in place and kept lashing out by kicking at the opponent. Sparring with one's Pokemon deepens the bond and allows the Pokemon to trust in the trainer's judgment. Then both trainer and Pokemon gain a deeper understanding of the other. Such a method is barbaric, but shows results just as well as advanced training used nowadays. Naruto seems to make use of such a means and pushes it to new levels. Truly fascinating. Joy heard from next to her, and she jumped away in shock at the fact that Sabrina was leaning against a tree watching the mock fight taking place. Lee. Hitmonlee yelled in pain as it was sent flying through the air when Naruto kicked it in the gut. It righted itself in midair and landed on its feet again. It looked at Naruto with a hard look for a moment before placing its hands together and bowing to Naruto. He had been moved out of the circle, so this was his loss. He would accept it with grace and dignity. Beating a Hitmonlee in a kicking contest. What kind of monster am I following? Joy asked herself with a sweat drop. Sometimes she worried about what kind of trouble Naruto was expecting to run into if he had trained his body this well. Good job, Hitmonlee, but you need to make sure to pull back your kicks the second that they make contact. Naruto commented as he returned his Pokemon to its Pokeball. He placed the ball back on his belt just as Erika started to walk up out of nowhere. Amazing, you sure must have trained your body if you were able to beat a Hitmonlee in a battle on your own. Erika complimented with an excited but calming tone. Sabrina walked up next and Naruto gave her a nod. Naruto could sense Sabrina's unique yin energy and had known she was there watching him. There was no physical energy involved, so he couldn't really call it chakra. That is a very impressive feat, but not out of the realm of human ability. Nonetheless, you must have applied yourself to your physical limits attempting to learn to battle against Pokemon like so. Your body is very well muscled, but not in the way that indicates ever having gone to a gym before or using equipment. No, your body shows that it was hardened by fighting and an active lifestyle with a healthy diet. Sabrina said as she automatically examined his body and deduced how he had it with a glance. She may not be able to read his mind, but she could read his body easily. That did not require psychic power to do, so the strange energy in his body was not blocking her from checking him out as she had heard some younger teen girls doing when Naruto walked into buildings. His body is all he has, so he has to take care of it. If he had to rely on his brain instead, he would be screwed in life. Joy said as she turned her head with a blush. Sabrina looked at her for a moment, with her wristbands back on. She was not automatically reading Joy's mind, and she turned back to Naruto. He should be proud of how well his body is taken care of. Many of the minds I have read when girls see him usually comment about how Naruto makes them moist, or along the lines of dad ass and want a piece of that. I believe you yourself were thinking yesterday about how much of a hunk Naruto was when he wasn't ruining it with his mouth. Sabrina stated, and she saw Erika with a red face with her cheeks bulging. She was attempting to not laugh as hard as possible, but Joy noticed and glared at Erika. You want to start something, Grass Stain? Joy yelled in embarrassment before she saw Erika give up and bend over when she started to laugh. Erika was laughing so much she started to go red in the face and she was crying from the trouble breathing she was having. Joy's face had been priceless. She could not even form a comment to taunt Joy at the moment. Interesting, so laughter can be dangerous to the one laughing. Sabrina observed with a neutral face and Naruto chuckled at her. She gave him a simple raised eyebrow and made a hand motion to ask him to explain his reason for laughing. Sabrina, laughter is an expression of happiness most of the time. Laughing is a great thing and it is good for the heart and lungs. You should try it sometime. Naruto said as the two of them watched as Erika collapsed to the ground randomly and started to snore. Naruto felt his eye twitch when he saw that. He did not know if this was from her losing so much oxygen or her years of smelling grass-type Pokemon. Ahahaha. Right on the face too. Joy laughed when she saw Erika take a nosedive into the grass. Naruto shook his head with a chuckle and walked over the Erika and picked her up bridal style. He was happy he wasn't wearing a shirt right now or the blood coming from her nose would be staining it. As it was, her blood was still smearing on his chest. He had a feeling if Erika woke up right now she would faint. Gross. Naruto idly thought with a twitching eye. He wasn't like Anko or that freak Hyden that got off on being covered in blood, and Sabrina looked at him carefully. Trying to figure out why he shivered when he thought about Anko. You just shivered. Is the blood bothering you or are you feeling cold? I would even say you might have shivered from attempting to forcefully repress memories of the past. Sabrina commented and Naruto looked at her before sighing. Yeah, he could see how Sabrina could annoy people. Not that he wasn't used to people that could be somewhat annoying, because he was carrying one of them in his arms, with the other laughing on the ground. Joy, if you find this all so funny you get to be the one that runs to the mall and buys the supplies for when we head out tomorrow. We need to restock canned foods, medical supplies, and I pre-bought some tickets for the next boat going to Celadon Island. I need you to pick them up and then bring them to the Pocket Center and give one of them to the nurse Joy and have her mail it to this address. Naruto said as he took one hand off of Erika and pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. Joy paled at the long list of things she was going to be doing, but sighed, she knew these were things that had to be done. Naruto would get lost trying to do them, and Erika wasn't very reliable when it came to doing things under a time limit. So with a sigh she set out to start on what would be a very long day shopping. Celadon Island. Do you plan to challenge the gym leader there? Sabrina asked, and Naruto blinked in surprise. He had not known there was a gym leader on that island, he just wanted to go there because there was a huge volcano there that is said to harbor a legendary Pokémon. He wanted to see if the rumors were true, and then he wanted to battle the Pokémon to see where his Pokémon truly stood against legends. Now that I know about a gym leader, yes. Originally I just wanted to go check out the volcano and see if the rumors I had heard from some Pidgeot were true. A few of the Pidgeot near my rock had been to the island and talked about a large bird of flame. Naruto said as they left the park and started to walk towards the Pocket Center again. Sabrina blinked when Naruto seemed to tense his legs and hop into the air by instinct, just as a red car being driven by a 10-year-old went under him. Why is a child being allowed to drive a car? Sabrina thought, and she saw the conflicted look on Naruto's face. Drop Erika and give that kid a beating, or ignore it and keep walking to the Pocket Center and making sure everything is okay with Erika. Naruto asked himself. He really wanted to kill that kid right now, but Erika came first. She was his friend, and his friends came before anything else. That boy was headed in the direction of Celadon City, so it may be possible he is planning on challenging the gym leader there. Sabrina said to herself, knowing that Erika had passed her position of gym leader down to her second in command just like she herself had given it to her father. She also knew that Erika's second in command was a better trainer in battle than Erika was, but that may be because Erika was well known for falling asleep in the middle of battle. She also knew that her father wasn't even a third of the battler she herself was, but she personally didn't care. She had found a person that could defy her predictions, and she wanted to observe him. To learn about his power, the reason she couldn't read his mind, how he could tell how psychic attacks worked, and how he seemed to be so wise. It only took a few more minutes to get to the Pokémon Center, half of which Naruto was grumbling about ripping a certain red car piece by piece while making a certain 10-year-old watch. When they walked into the Pokémon Center, Naruto walked up to the room that the previously trio were using and placed Erika on a bed before checking her head for any lasting injuries. All he could see were some minor bruising that would go away in about a day or two and that she had scraped her palms. He quickly put on his usual sleeveless red shirt and started his way back to the lobby. When he went back to the main lobby, he could see Sabrina waiting for him in the exact same spot he had left her. Naruto chuckled lightly and the two of them both grabbed a magazine each and started reading near the benches. Naruto was very interested in an article about the mysterious burning down of a mansion on Celadon Island, but the article was short enough that he could not really dig deeply into it. He settled on a slightly longer article about some Team Rocket but wasn't interested in this either much. Team Rocket was nothing compared to Akatsuki as far as he was concerned, and if he wanted he was sure he could take out Team Rocket on his own. He was not about to go hunting down Team Rocket because their bases were unknown and he had never even seen them in person either. He felt Sabrina nudge him in the side and he nearly jumped at the poke at his ribs. He saw she was pointing to the center of the room and standing there on a cardboard box was a round and pink Pokémon holding a microphone. Jiggly Jiggly, the little Pokémon said loudly to get the attention of the dozen or so trainer in the room, and suddenly Naruto remembered the little Pokémon's name Jigglypuff. Cute little Pokémon in his opinion, but not much of a battler. I think we should get out of here. Sabrina said, but alas she was too late. Jigglypuff had already started chanting its name to the room full of trainers in an enchanting voice that drew in their attention. Jigglypuff Jiggly Jigglypuff. Naruto hummed along to the song when he felt a weight at his shoulders and saw Sabrina had already fallen asleep. Naruto had nearly forgotten that they all heard different than he did, so they could not hear the actual lyrics of the song. Heck, even Pokémon could not hear what the lyrics were. Play Lullaby by Manda, that is what Naruto hears when Jigglypuff sings. Gross. Naruto thought when he felt Sabrina droll on him and to think he was now wearing a shirt. Jigglypuff just continued to sing for a few more minutes and soon Naruto saw everyone but him was asleep. Seriously? Not one of them could stave off sleep. Jigglypuff puff. Jigglypuff yelled when it finished happily before looked around and saw people were asleep. The little puffball was about to throw a tantrum before she heard somebody clapping softly. Looking around she saw a blonde human with another human sleeping on his shoulder clapping for her. "Bravo Jigglypuff, bravo," Naruto said, knowing that otherwise Jigglypuff would draw all over everyone's faces. The tiny Pokemon puffed in joy before she looked around to see if anyone else was awake. She seemed annoyed that only Naruto was awake, and it showed when she revealed her microphone was actually a marker in disguise. Instead of the random drawings she normally did though, she drew whisker marks on everyone's faces to honor the first person that had clapped for her performance. She went over to Naruto last and hopped on his lap so that she could draw whisker marks on Sabrina's face as well. Jigglypuff attempted to bow to Naruto to show her thanks before puffing back down and wobbling back out of the Poké Center, leaving everyone with whisker marks on their face, and his laughs went unheard by the people around him. The day was a funny day in general for him and his group. Everyone got all their stuff? Naruto asked the group as they started to head out of the Poké Center. Naruto could see that they had all their stuff packed and the two of them were already wearing their travel clothes. Erika was sleeping while standing up and that fact was made known by the drool dripping off her chin. This is why parents tell their kids to not do drugs. If she was alone when she fell asleep she would be an easy target for perverts. Joy thought with only a little amount of caring in her inner tone. Yeah, she didn't like Erika, but she didn't want to annoying grass maniac to get molested. Zzzzzzzzzzz. Erika enjoying a deep sleep before she was awoken abruptly by the feeling of a hard flick to her nose. She jerked up and jumped as high as she could in surprise and she ended up about to fall down on the concrete. Naruto was about to catch her, but strangely enough a blue glow appeared around her as she started to float. "I see you were about to leave without me. Naruto Uzumaki, I shall join you on your quest." They heard the neutral voice of Sabrina say as Erika's feet touched the ground again and she looked sheepish. Joy's eye was twitching like crazy and Erika did not really mind the psychic girl coming along for the ride. Erika herself was only on the journey to make Naruto hers, find new species of flowers and grass types, and annoy Joy. Sabrina had to have more important reasons than hers for wanting to come along. Great, first the grass slut and now the mind reader. Just freaking great. Joy thought with a twitching eye. Oh yes, by this time she knew that Naruto would almost never say no to somebody wanting to travel with him. "If you want to, but I have a rule. Those that don't work for their food, don't eat," Naruto said in a joking way and Sabrina nodded seriously. Naruto wanted to facepalm at her inability to understand jokes, or maybe it was because she couldn't read his mind to find out he was joking. "I understand. Coming into the group like this, of course it would create a trouble with food. It would be ignorant of me to assume you would just feed me, so working for my food should be expected. I have no wish to be a burden on the group as a whole," Sabrina said and everyone looked at her with dumb expressions. The way she worded that made it much more complicated than that had to be. They weren't very smart after all. Naruto just wasn't used to her way of speaking. Joy was used to listening to brats whine about their hurt Pokemon. Erika was asleep most of the time, so she never really cared enough to listen to others very well. "What?" the three of them said in unison. "If I must work for my food, I shall do so." Sabrina simplified for the less intelligent, but then again most people on the planet were less intelligent than her, so that wasn't a far statement. At least her tone wasn't making her sound like she was trying to insult them, if she had a tone that is. "You know I was kidding, right?" Naruto said and Sabrina looked away from his a little. The smallest bits of pink appearing across her nose. "I had no knowledge you were kidding," as your voice had not changed to indicate that you were using sarcasm. "I was left with no option but to assume you had been serious," Sabrina said in her usual tone, but Joy had seen her blush and grinned an evil grin worthy of a ghost Pokemon. "Ha. I looks like the mind reader lacks the one kind of smarts that matter, street smarts," Joy said as she walked forward a few steps and she was blindsided when a Pidgey came smashing into her at full speed before flying away. Erika couldn't help but comment at the knocked over girl. "Looks like Sabrina isn't the only one without street smarts," Erika stated with her kimono sleeve covering her mouth. Naruto snorted and Sabrina took her turn to comment as well. "I believe that the proper term for what just happened would be ironic. Are the words you just ate bitter to swallow, or is the humiliation of being fed your own words getting to you?" Sabrina commented and Joy was more confused than angry when Sabrina spoke. The girl just talked in a way that would leave many people wondering what she was trying to say. "I think she just said that you were eating your own words," Naruto told her, having caught fed and words in that comment. Joy's eyes twitched and she grabbed a pebble on the ground and threw it at Sabrina, only for it to glow and change direction to hit Erika in the head. Not the target, but I still liked it, Joy thought before she was lifted in the air by her collar. An irate Erika was staring her in the face with an angry glare and Joy gulped lightly. This was a rare side of Erika, but then again normally when Erika got hurt it was her fault. What was that for? Erika shouted into her face before she was plucked of the ground by the back of her clothes. Naruto separated the two of them with a sigh before giving Sabrina a look. It would seem that this trio of girls would end up being a pain in the ass for him, but then again, lots of things were a pain. Calm down you two. We aren't going to get anywhere if you two start fighting before we even leave the city. Need I remind you we have to get to the next city in 3 days or we will miss the boat. Naruto reminded the girls in question form. He was not about to let the boat tickets go to waste just because the girls wanted to start a fight with each other. Understood. Sabrina replied without any meaning or change in tone. Erika pouted at him for a moment, hoping he would let her at least hit Joy before sighing and nodding. Joy just huffed and turned away from them all. Good, now let's get moving. Naruto said as he started to walk towards one of the exits to the city. The group plus one started to follow him and Sabrina put a larger than average sun hat on her head. Naruto got 5 steps before Erika reminded him of something. The exit to go to Vermilion is south of here and I think we are heading east. Erika pointed out while holding a map. Naruto stopped before changing direction without saying a word to the group. His slight mistake, but they would be walking through the night. Creepy music insert. This forest is pretty creepy right now. Joy muttered to herself as she saw all the dead trees and dying grass. She was a little tired from walking so far and the fact the moon was completely covered by the clouds gave everything a more dark and sinister appearance. Crack. What was that? Erika asked with a startled jump and she wasn't the only one. Only Sabrina noticed the slight shaking of Naruto's hand. The creepy surrounding was starting to bring out an old fear of his he had thought he had lost a long time ago. I do not feel the presence of anything in the forest, or at least no presence within 70 meters. Sabrina commented, but she would admit that she found something strange about the air around them as well. I don't feel anything is off. Joy said, before she felt something touch the back of her neck. Jerking around she saw nothing there and narrowed her eyes with annoyance. Looks like the tough girl is going a little crazy. Erika stated with a superior smile on her face. She laughed at Joy before she felt the obi keeping her hakama pants up start to move. Looking down in confusion she saw her clothes moving around on their own before the obi flew off of her body. She quickly grabbed the front of her clothes to keep them from falling down and the rustling caught Naruto's attention. Ha! Having a wardrobe malfunction grass bitch. Joy yelled as she laughed loudly at her rival's misfortune. Naruto and Sabrina were more focused on the gently falling obi and now Sabrina was sure that she could see Naruto shaking a lot more than before. Don't look at me. Erika yelled as she ran and hid behind Sabrina just in case Naruto turned around. It was one thing to let him carry her and press herself against him, but she didn't wear underwear, so if her pants fell things would get more complicated than she wanted them. Gen. The group heard the strange laughing noise and everyone turned to Naruto for the translation. Sabrina finally figured out they were dealing with a ghost type, mostly because her powers weren't able to do anything to it. Yes, she could move it away from them, but psychic was at a disadvantage against ghosts. Naruto? Joy asked as she walked in front of him and now she noticed something wrong with him. He was very pale and he was starting to sweat like crazy. Naruto, are you scared of ghost-type Pokemon? Sabrina asked and Erika looked at Naruto for his response, but they got no response other than Naruto starting to fall backwards. His eyes had rolled into the back of his head and he was twitching. Fear of ghost types. Joy wondered as she caught Naruto but struggled under his weight. Gen. For a guy that understands and loves Pokemon, you sure have a strange fear of ghost types. Joy commented without making fun of Naruto, who had recently woken up from passing out. The group had decided to make it a night since whenever they tried to go forward that same mist would appear in front of them and block their path. The fact Naruto was squeamish around ghost types didn't help with the fact that they were in a forest that had a lot of ghastly and haunter this time of year. Not just ghost types, but all ghosts. It is so creepy to not be able to punch something, but it can punch you. I actually have a bad experience with that. Naruto said with a twitching eyebrow when he remembered how much a bitch Obito was to beat because of his ability to become untouchable. Since then his fear of ghosts has been magnified to new levels. He couldn't help it, just being near a ghost would cause him to freeze up unless it was a ghost Pokemon that Naruto personally knew. So basically there were like 3 or 4 ghost Pokemon that didn't make him freeze up in terror. Some people had a bad fear of bug Pokemon and some dragon types, well he had a supreme fear of ghost types. Oh dear, it looks like even the foul-mouthed girl has a soft spot. What's the matter, your crush having a tough time so you decide that you should soften up? Erika teased Joy and the pink-haired punk girl's eyebrow twitched for a moment as she attempted to try and control her almost unending anger towards the girl she labeled as the grass slut. She was literally twitching constantly at this point as she attempted to rein herself in. She is thinking that if this grass slut doesn't shut up, she will have to choose which ass she is crapping out of when I rip her a new one, and well rude, it would be quite something to see. I would like to view how this plays out. Sabrina commented while sitting on Naruto's otherwise, and he couldn't help but chuckle when Joy looked like she was having trouble deciding what to be angry about. The fact that Erika teased her, or the fact that Sabrina was reading her mind again. Seriously, it was like the only person immune to her mind reading was Naruto. It was scary how much she could be angry at in a single moment. How vulgar, and if Sabrina says it then it must be true. Even your thoughts have a repulsive odor to them, and it has an after scent of anger management issues. Erika commented, but before she knew it, she had to jump back out of shock when Joy jumped into the air towards her with hot fury on her face. She was restrained by Naruto when he grabbed the back of her skirt and kept her from running any further. She was running in place for a few minutes before she realized that Naruto was holding her back. Let go Blondie, the grass cunt is asking for it now. Joy shouted at Naruto with her anger clearly visible, while Naruto chuckled. Oh, so grass cunt is it? I didn't know that I had gotten a new nickname. Still rather vulgar if you ask me. Erika stated with a snide smile on her face, while Naruto gave her a twitching eyebrow. She nodded and smartly backed off on the insults for now, and Joy was able to tell that they were done with this. Letting go of her skirt, she wiped imaginary dust from her hands and nodded to herself. Hey guys, I am going to go train with Slowpoke. He hasn't gotten any real training yet. Naruto stated as he held up a Pokeball that contained the recently captured pink Pokemon. They each nodded before he started to walk off. Blinking, he grabbed another Pokeball and tossed it behind him. Not a second later Raichu came out and Naruto craned his neck towards the group. Rai. Raichu stated in agreement, knowing that he would be needed to make sure the girls didn't kill each other while Naruto was training the newbie. Of course, Naruto knew the correct way to train water and psychic types, so it would be pretty easy for him to get Slowpoke motivated. Once Raichu ran back to the group, Naruto made his way towards a distance where he could train his newest addition without being spied on. They may be a group that traveled together, but when it came to training their Pokemon, they were going to do that separately so that they could surprise each other should they ever want to have another battle. Sabrina had her Lakism. A very powerful Pokemon that could no doubt beat his Raichu in a straight battle if she wanted it to, and if he wasn't able to sense where psychic attacks were going to hit. That was the trick that really let him pull out a major win without having to resort to using his secret weapon. Erika had her Gloom. A powerful Pokemon in its own right, but not the most powerful out there. Joy had both Squirtle and Mankey. The problem with both of them was the Squirtle was a prankster that only listened to her half of the time, and Mankey almost never listened to her without Naruto giving it a glare to straighten it out first. Finally, Naruto had Gyarados, Raichu, Charizard, Hitmonlee, and Slowpoke. Basically, he had the most Pokemon he needed to train to a great enough status. Gyarados and Raichu were pretty high up there, and Gyarados was powerful enough to be placed on the semi-legendary status. Raichu was extremely powerful thanks to Naruto's near-suicidal training methods. Charizard was a veteran Pokemon that was very experienced in battle from the beginning. Finally, Hitmonlee had previous training from the X-Gym. This meant that he would need to do the most work with Slowpoke. Taking a breath, he tried to pick which Pokemon would be the best partner for Slowpoke to spar with. Deciding what he wanted to do, he pulled out 2 Pokeballs before he tossed them each in the air. They popped open, and in a red glow both Slowpoke and Gyarados appeared on the ground. His huge Gyarados immediately nuzzled her large head against his body. Ahahaha, I get it. I will let you out more often, but with your size it gets hard to do that. Naruto said when he was knocked off his feet by his first Pokemon, and he remembered when Gyarados was simply an oversized Magikarp. The swimming in the lake to training her ability to swim under pressure. As a Magikarp that was 5 times normal size, he was happy with the fact that size change also translated to almost 5 times as big as a normal Gyarados. At least, it seemed to be that big. It was hard to get an accurate measurement when comparing to other more temperamental Pokemon of the same species. Brah, Graya. Gyarados cooed, while Naruto pushed the giant head off his body with a laugh before he stood back up. Slowpoke was looking at the size of the Gyarados in shock because normally Gyarados was one of the most feared Pokemon in Kanto because of hard they were to train and control. If they didn't have a great respect for their trainer, they would not even bother listening. Gyarados had actually been put on the list of Pokemon that were supposed to be used when competing in the Pokemon League of Kanto. Only Gyarados that pass certain tests were allowed to be a part of the team that was used to compete. They were tested on if the trainer was able to command them and if they could keep their tempers under control. Slowpoke stated, and you didn't have to understand Pokemon to notice that the translated version of that was dumb. It wasn't every day that somebody saw a huge Gyarados that made other Gyarados seem shrimpy. Naruto smiled before he got into his training mode. Okay, enough playing around. Slowpoke, it is time to begin your training. The first lesson is how to dodge. Gyarados, use tackle. Naruto ordered simply, and if Slowpoke had an oh shit face, then that was what Naruto was looking at when the Pokemon started wobble running in the opposite direction as fast as it could. Gyarados saw Naruto wink and decided that it would just stay a small distance behind Slowpoke to sort of get it going. Slowpoke were durable and had a high potential for special attacking. They also had a rather nice ability to dish out attacks while taking damage. Their biggest problem was their reaction time and their speed. The best option was to make use of this as a chance to get Slowpoke's base speed up and then it would be time to get some weight training in for the pink Pokemon. As Slowpoke got faster, Gyarados would increase her speed and Slowpoke would have to react faster as well. It was useless teaching a Pokemon new moves if they couldn't properly move around the field to take advantage of those moves. Slowpoke. Slowpoke shouted when Gyarados caught up to him and lightly tapped him by her standards. The fact it was by her standards was because Slowpoke was still pretty much sent flying, but Naruto caught the small pink Pokemon that seemed to be more responsive than the rest of his species. Naruto gently placed the Pokemon on the ground before he saw Gyarados coil up on the ground in front of them. A mock battle is it, okay Slowpoke us water gun on Gyarados. I want to see some power. Naruto stated with confidence and in response a jet of water spewed out of Slowpoke's mouth and collided against Gyarados' face. The end result was that Gyarados suffered almost zero damage from the attack, which should have been obvious since Slowpoke was far out of his league when it came to Naruto's strongest Pokemon. Maybe more people would train Magikarp if they realized that every Magikarp had the potential to become a badass Gyarados one day. Slowpoke pouted and Naruto got down on his knees and rubbed the depressed Pokemon on the head. Gyarados was the perfect Pokemon to practice moves on because of just how much of a tank she was. Some may call his giant Gyarados a freak of nature, but Naruto just considered her born to be a legendary badass. Don't worry Slowpoke, I would be more surprised if you actually did hurt Gyarados with a water gun or any water type moves. Naruto explained to the now a little bit happier Slowpoke. It would seem that his pep talk had worked and Slowpoke noticed something floating behind Naruto that he himself was unable to notice. A sudden chill ran down Naruto's spine and he slowly turned his head with sweat beginning to bead on his face. Floating right behind him was a purple Pokemon that looked like an evil version of a Clefairy and it was a Pokemon that immediately caused Naruto to freeze up. Gen. The Jengar chanted in amusement before it jumped out of fright when it saw the large Pokemon behind Naruto that was glaring at him. The Pokemon pulled its face into a weird position and just before it vanished, it gave Naruto's face a good long lick that covered him in slobber. He twitched once before he fell to the ground in a dead faint. Those types. 2 Naruto. 0. But the others. Naruto just passed out. Sabrina pointed out when she felt the change in Naruto's Pokemon's mental states. She wasn't able to read Naruto's mind because of the blockage, but she could read his Pokemon's minds and they were just thinking on how Naruto passed out from getting licked by a ghost Pokemon. Ghost type? Erika asked, only having ever seen Naruto freak out when it came to ghost types. It was rather funny that somebody that wasn't afraid of most things had such a simple fear when it came to a certain type of Pokemon. That settles it. I am going to catch that Pokemon. Joy shouted with a determined grin on her face. She remembered the Pokemon's face and a Jengar would make a great addition to her team. A fully evolved Pokemon like that would be a real powerhouse on any team and ghost types were pretty strong Pokemon. You want to catch the Pokemon that the only friend a rude girl like you has is afraid of. It would seem that somebody is a bit more of a hassle than she lets on. I would have never thought it was Erika started before she slumped forward and her snores could be heard. Joy smirked down at her for falling asleep before she tossed her Pokeball in the air. A few seconds later Mankey was standing in front of her and it seemed more than ready for a battle. You do know that fighting and normal types can't hit ghost Pokemon? Sabrina pointed out with a raised eyebrow and Joy blushed before she returned Mankey back to his Pokeball before she got out Squirtle's Pokeball and stormed off to hide the fact that she was humiliated because of her own mistake. That would have been a humiliating beatdown for Mankey if Sabrina hadn't commented at that time. She wasn't going to thank her though, because Sabrina wasn't the type to just let it end with that. She would hold it over her head until she could find the perfect type to tease her with it. She just could not catch a break with traveling companions. You look horrible but what else is new? Erika pointed out when she and Sabrina noticed that Joy was coming back to them and the now awake Naruto. Her clothes were extremely ruffled and she was holding 2 Pokeballs with a grin on her face. Not even the way Erika was bad-mouthing her was going to bring down her good mood. In the end, she had found the Jengar and attempted to capture it by using her Squirtle. That plan failed badly. Her Squirtle had been taken out with a single attack, but then she tried another tactic. By using what Naruto had taught her so far, she herself charged at the Pokemon. That plan also failed. At that point she had already been knocked around by the Jengar for her efforts. Then as it was going away she threw the Pokeball at it in the hopes that it would not see it coming. She had been surprised when that plan seemed to have worked, only for that plan to turn out as a failure as well, when the Pokeball popped open to reveal that the Jengar had not been amused with how she had played dirty. "I caught a Pokémon." Joy shouted with a grin on her face, and it was true. On the way back she had thrown her Pokeball into the bush out of anger, only for her to hear the Pokeball clicking not a few seconds later to show that she had actually caught a Pokémon, thanks to her anger taking advantage of her. It was her temper tantrum that had landed her a new Pokémon for her team, and even if it wasn't the one she had been hoping for, it was still a Pokémon she could now consider a part of her team. "Good job. Now that Jengar is caught, we can finally go to Viridian City," Naruto said with a thumbs up in her direction, having completely recovered from his run-in with Jengar. He was not really a fan of ghost Pokémon, but if the Pokémon was his friend's partner, he could easily put up with it. That automatically made the Pokémon a traveling companion of his, and Sabrina was the next one to comment when she read what was going on in Erika's head. The fact the girl was blushing and looking away from the group showed that she didn't catch Jengar. The Pokémon she caught was not Jengar, what she caught was a rather weak-willed Kakuna. Sabrina pointed out, and Joy's eyebrow twitched when Sabrina ruined the surprise for her. It was hard to hide anything from this girl unless you were Naruto, and that was because she had stated she was unable to read his mind. Naruto gave Sabrina a raised eyebrow at how she phrased that, and the way her tone suggested that she seemed to have an annoyance at the type of Pokémon. "You don't like bug Pokémon, do you?" Naruto asked with a small laugh. It would so fit for Sabrina to not be fond of bug Pokémon when she was a psychic Pokémon trainer that had psychic powers herself. It would be like an unwritten rule for her not to like bug Pokémon. Sabrina simply nodded to the statement without making a comment over it. Bug Pokémon were perhaps the one type she would prefer not to hang around, and it wasn't because of the fact they were super effective against psychic types. She just wasn't fond of bugs, and while people assumed it was because she was either being girly or it was because of her Pokémon, they were all wrong. Naruto saw her nod and just scratched his cheek slightly with a dry chuckle. "He wants a hug," Joy shouted as she felt up the yellow Pokémon up toward Sabrina, and the girl nearly jumped for a moment before she calmed herself down. Joy was holding her new Pokémon, that was smiling, right up against Sabrina's face with a look of victory splayed on her lips. Joy was lifted off her feet by a small wave of psychic energy before she was tossed into the bush a few feet away from Sabrina. The mistress of psychic Pokémon smirked very lightly before returning to a neutral expression. "Rejected." Erika laughed out lightly when she saw her rival thrown into the bushes, with her legs sticking out awkwardly. When Joy heard that, you could tell she was angry by how her legs suddenly started to jerk around, while angry muttering was heard. Naruto moved over to the bush before he pulled her out by her ankle and dropped her on the ground. Her new Pokémon was already in his Pokeball again. "Brass cunt, you want to bug her as much as me. You aren't innocent here," Joy said while poking Erika in the chest. She sweat dropped for a moment before she ran to a tree and banged her head against the bark when she realized that Erika had a bigger chest than she did. She was pouting while she was banging her head against the tree, while Erika smirked when she realized why Joy was doing it. She would wait to make a joke about it though, because to be honest, she was running out of new snide insults. It would be better to save some up for when Joy really started to annoy her. Jengar. The sounds of the same Jengar from earlier were heard, and Sabrina was surprised to find that Naruto was still awake this time. He was really pale, but he was awake. That was why she was surprised when she saw him pull a Pokeball from his belt and grin, and tossing it into the air, she was surprised to see Charizard coming out with a roar of fire spewing from his mouth. "I finally get it, you want to battle. My fear was blocking my ears earlier, but now I can hear your heart clearly. Okay, if you want to battle that badly then I will give you one," Naruto declared with a smirk that was shared by Charizard, and it didn't take a genius to see that both trainer and Pokémon were in sync when it came to this idea. A few seconds later Jengar appeared in front of the group and it was staring right into Naruto's eyes with a grin on his face. Naruto had been right, when Jengar had sensed a powerful trainer nearby he wanted to battle against the trainer. He was happy to see that now the trainer was ready to pit a powerful opponent against him, so he would be more than happy with the fact he could finally battle somebody again. "This is going to be intense, that Jengar is strong," Sabrina stated with a frown, while she believed that Naruto would win it was hard to tell. If this was going to be a one-on-one fight against two fully evolved Pokémon one could never be sure. The fact this Jengar had the advantage in knowing more about the opponent was something that had to be taken into account. The three girls stepped back when they saw the Charizard tail flame was burning hotter than before, no, hotter than it ever has before. Charizard respected Sabrina as a trainer, and if she stated that this Pokémon was strong, then he would be pumped up to fight. "Don't you lose, Naruto, if you do I will make fun of your fear every day for the rest of our journey together," Joy said in her own special way of cheering him on, while the girls next to her said nothing about it. It was obvious by the smirk on his face that Naruto was so focused he couldn't even hear them anymore. Start this off strong Charizard, use a Fire Blast at the strongest power you can put out. Naruto ordered right away, and his fire-type Pokémon tilted his head back as fire burned harshly from the sides of the Pokémon's mouth. Then forcing his neck forward, Charizard spat out the hot flames, and halfway towards the Jengar, his fireball turned into the shape of the kanji for fire. Jengar vanished into its own shadow, and the attack exploded against the ground where it had been at. The trees around the flames were immediately destroyed, leaving nothing but hot charcoal behind as proof of his Pokémon's powerful flame. That was Shadow Sneak. Erika commented, having had the attack used against herself before in a gym battle. Her guess proved correct when the Jengar popped up out of Charizard's shadow moments later, and the purple Pokémon pulled its now lightning-coated fist back and punched Charizard in the neck with a powerful thunder punch that forced Naruto's Pokémon to skid across the ground. Smart, but not nearly enough to stop my buddy. Use Fire Punch. Naruto ordered as he got worked up, and Charizard smirked and punched Jengar into mid-air with a fist coated in fire. It roared up at the Jengar, but the ghost type was still floating strong. In response, Charizard jumped up and flapped his wings so that it was now flying up after the Jengar, and the wind from his wings sent dirt floating as it soared up at the people below. Naruto swung his fist and cleared out the dirt in front of his vision with the power behind his own fist. Jengar. The ghost type chuckled out as it flew down at Charizard with a glowing blue fist, showing that it was a well-bred Pokémon that knew both Thunder Punch and Ice Punch, but it was all for naught. Charizard, use Tackle. Naruto shouted with a smirk, and the Charizard seemed to be shocked at the stupid command for a moment before smirking. It flew up at Jengar at full speed, and before the girls behind him could call him out on his dumb move, Charizard phased right through Jengar and was now above the Pokémon. Now Jengar was looking up at the smirking Charizard in shock at how Naruto used the ghost ability to phase through normal and fighting type attacks against it. By phasing through Jengar, Charizard was able to avoid the Ice Punch while also gaining the advantage in height. Amazing, he used Tackle not as an offensive attack, but as a defensive one to force Jengar into a state where it couldn't attack Charizard. Sabrina commented with an impressed expression on her face. What she didn't know was that Naruto got the idea from fighting Obito. If your opponent couldn't touch you, then you could counter then a second later when you were able to touch them as well. Using his intangibility against him so that he could dodge an attack was something that was right up Naruto's alley. Naruto and Charizard shared a look before both gained expressions of equal amusement. This is what battling is about, now use Fire Spin. Naruto shouted with his grin in place, while a spinning jet of flame erupted from Charizard's throat and rushed down towards the surprised Jengar for a split second. The Pokémon reacted in time though, and with a ball made from shadows, it threw the attack it formed into the heart of the flames and forced the attack to miss. The shadow ball continued to fly up at Charizard, only for it to miss by a hair when the fire type flew to the left. Giving Jengar time to press the advantage and float up quickly to the Pokémon above him, and with a demented grin the Pokémon he licked Charizard across the neck and caused a moment's distraction in Naruto's Pokémon out of disgust. Genjin Jengar. The cackling ghost type shouted out as it held its hands in front of its body and sent out pulses of powerful dark power right into Charizard's gut. Charizard grunted out in pain from the dark-powered attack and he started to fall out of the air for a second before he caught himself. Strong one is right, but it's turn up the heat. Charizard, time for a strong dragon claw. Naruto shouted up to his Pokémon, and with a smirk Charizard's claws both gained a large green aura around them, with 3 aura claws sticking out of the aura. Jengar smirked as well and the two floated at each other, and before Charizard was able to strike Jengar used a sucker punch to allow it to attack Naruto's Pokémon first. The fist of Jengar landed right in the chest of Charizard, but instead of getting the wind knocked from him, Charizard tanked through the blow and slashed Jengar right in the face with a powerful blow that sent the ghost type flying towards the ground with a might crash. Bro! Charizard roared to the heavens with a might spout of flame coming from his mouth before Jengar was heard from the ground. Charizard and Naruto looked at Jengar staring up at Charizard, damaged but mostly okay, and with his arms crossed up at the Pokémon that damaged him. Tough guy huh, and now I am excited. Let's do this Charizard, now use Smokescreen and follow it up with Dragon Rage. Naruto ordered to his loyal fire-type Pokémon, and without delay his Pokémon started to spew black smoke around himself to block his body from view. Jengar's eyes narrowed, and it started to look around the smoke-covered skies for Charizard, only for a green and blue fireball to come from the smoke and rush towards the ghost type. Naruto smirked in that second that Jengar jumped into the air to dodge the explosion from the dragon fire. Jengar looked up to see the Charizard rushed out of the smoke and was inches away from the ghost type now. The ghost type's eyes widened for a split second before it smirked and gave Charizard a thunder punch to the face right before it was sent right back into the ground when Charizard spat a fireball into its face. Both Pokémon crashed into the ground, but each one landed right on their feet while smirking at each other. Gengar. Growl. Gengar and Charizard roared at each other, and Naruto himself was starting to feel the intense battle feeling. Like somebody had dumped white-hot passion into his veins. This was how you knew if you were really battling with your Pokémon. You yourself would get exhausted when your Pokémon got exhausted. If they were thrilled for the fight, then you yourself got thrilled as well. When in this state, you and your Pokémon were in near perfect sync. Dragon Dance and then let's go for a Metal Claw combo. Naruto shouted as green flames surrounded Charizard for a second when the Pokémon's speed and power were increased. Then all of a sudden Charizard's white claws turned the color and hardness of shining gray metal as the Pokémon started to run towards the Gengar. Gengar's eyes narrowed and both of the Pokémon's fists were lit up with shadows and it used Shadow Punch when it started to run towards Charizard. Gengar punched Charizard in the gut while at the same time Charizard slammed his claw into the top of Gengar's head. Gengar followed up with a punch to the fire-type's shoulder before it was bitch-slapped by Naruto's Pokémon's other claw. Gengar was forced to lean back from the force of the hit and its grin stretched even wider as it turns its head to Charizard again and punched the Pokémon in the ribs. Charizard gave a surprised shout before it grinned with fire coming from his mouth and slammed his claw into Gengar's face again. This has literally turned into a brawl of brute strength. Erica commented while Joy watched a battle with stars in her eyes. This was her first time seeing Charizard push this far into a battle and it could be seen that both Pokémon were doing a good amount of damage to each other with each strike. Yet, even though both Pokémon were getting hurt they seemed happy to be fighting. She looked to see Naruto not taking his eyes off the fight and his fists were balled up like he wanted to join in sickly. No, this is a beautiful battle of wills. The one to fall first will not be the one with the weaker move, but the one with the weaker willpower. Sabrina stated as she watched Charizard take a brutal thunder punch to the knee and then Charizard returned the blow with one of its own to the shorter Pokémon's face. Charizard, let's show off some power. Use Scratch and then use Bite. Naruto shouted just as Gengar phased right through Charizard's normal type Scratch. The Ghost type was completely unprepared for the Dark type move of Bite when Charizard clamped its jaws around the Ghost type. Naruto pointed up to the sky and Charizard felt the command without having to hear it. Throwing Gengar up into their air with his jaws, the Ghost type was now looking down at them with a grin. Gengar formed a Shadow Ball in his hands, only for Charizard to smirk. Why would Naruto give up the advantage like that? Joy asked in confusion. Naruto had Gengar right where he wanted him, but he gave it up. Sabrina huffed lightly when she realized that even without being able to read Naruto's mind that he wanted to truly test out Charizard and Gengar to the fullest. Wing attack. Naruto ordered and with the command issues the scarred Charizard's wings started to glow as it flew up into the sky. Gengar threw the Shadow Ball at Charizard and without flinching the fire, Pokémon took the attack head-on and when it exploded in his face, he went right through the explosion and towards Gengar. The signs of damage were there and it could be seen that both Pokémon were hanging on because of guts alone. Now use Flamethrower Charizard. Naruto shouted with a light sheen of sweat from the heat and excitement coating his face. Brau. Charizard roared out a white-hot stream of overpowered flames, his naturally ability to increase the power of his flames when he was low on stamina was finally kicking in to increase the power of his fire attack. Gengar was completely overwhelmed and was sent flying towards the ground in a constant stream of fire and ground around the Pokémon melted slightly before Charizard stopped the fire and fell to the ground on his feet while breathing heavily. The smoke cleared to show that Gengar was barely standing up at this point. Both Pokémon glared at each other while Naruto seemed to notice that this would most likely be the last attack of the fight. Let's end this. Charizard, use Dragon Dance and then let's win this with Wing Attack. Naruto yelled with a great amount of energy in his voice when the green flames covered his Pokémon for a second. Charizard's wings glowed white before they seemed to grow bigger for the move. Gengar's fist was sparking with lightning energy and with its other fist it made the bring it on motion to Naruto and Charizard. The two Pokémon waited for a second before both of their eyes widened and they shot off for each other. Less than a second later Charizard's wings slammed into Gengar's gut while Gengar's fist sank into Charizard's gut as well. Charizard's foot hit the ground to stop himself from falling and both Pokémon just stood there for a second. No way, Joy said in shock when Charizard fell to his knees a second later and it was holding his gut in pain with one eye closed. He was breathing deeply but still very much awake despite the hardest one-on-one battle of his life against a wild Pokémon. Gengar fell onto his back not moments later, closed as the Pokémon looked to be knocked out from the battle. The Pokémon had a smile on his face though and Charizard started to fall onto his back as well, but Naruto caught the Pokémon despite his weight and smiled down at him. Great job buddy, you deserve a good rest. Naruto stated as he pulled out Charizard's Pokeball. One red beam later and Charizard was safely back into his Pokeball. Smiling down at the red and white orb, Naruto shrank it before sticking it back to his belt. That was much harder than his Charizard fought against me, where they imperfectly sensed before. Sabrina thought as she went over both battles she had seen that involved Charizard in her head. This Jengar was easily powerful enough to take down 2 of her Pokémon from the gym alone if he wanted to, and Charizard took it down in a one-on-one. It was like he and Naruto were growing closer with each battle they had together, and as they grew closer they were able to battle even harder. She also noticed that throughout the entire battle Naruto seemed to become completely comfortable around Jengar, his skin had regained full color again. Naruto pulled out an empty Pokeball from the side of his belt before he looked down at Jengar for a moment and thought about catching him. Jengar was a powerful Pokémon and it seemed that it was about level with his Charizard in raw power alone. Jengar just didn't know how to completely use that power yet and Naruto couldn't think of anyone else to train him at the moment that would be able to bring that power out like Charizard could. Could this Pokémon be the perfect rival partner for his Charizard? With a final glance at Jengar, Naruto made his choice. With his choice made, Naruto would follow through with his choice, but he could only ask himself one question. Was this the right choice? What if Naruto is a legendary Pokémon trainer? End here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.